And on the air, and we're live with the Meta Lab. This is episode 163. We all played a lot of opens except for the one poor Brazilian. I'm sorry, one day. This week we have our usual PJ.
Hi, I couldn't hit the mute.
Of course you're muted. I love you, PJ. we have our rotating guest host, Pedro.
Hello, everybody.
And since we didn't get to have our Toronto WizKids Open winner, Tom Kerr, we got second place, who happens to be Devin again.
Hi, I'm back for the second week in a row.
It's just too bad you're not playing an Open this weekend so we can get you on again.
Yeah, stupid statistics tests.
Yeah, so I played one Open and judged an Open. Devin played two Opens. I think PJ played two Opens. Yes, no, maybe. So we're going to do our weeks in review and going from least games to most games. I guess we have to start with Pedro, I'm assuming.
Yep. No, you got it. Mine was all training. Our Open here is going to be March 24th and 25th. So a lot of live training and Road 20 training to fine-tune the team. So, yeah, you guys have better and more interesting things to cover.
Nice. So then we go to me, because I did only play one Open. Both of the Opens that I was at were sealed. My first one, which I went to Devin with, was X-Men sealed in Erie, Pennsylvania. I'm just trying to double check what my team was. I had Cyclops, Common, so good old running shot, psychic blast, leadership, gives my whole X-Men theme team extra damage. Mindy Cuckoo, who was the one with sidestep, psychic blast. I had Old Man Logan, because he gave my whole team reflexes, has really good stats, and he was my only really high rare pull. Happened to be one that I actually needed, which was nice. And my rare that I played was Darwin for tie-up. Because he is the most annoying thing to kill in this set because there's no Surtur. I also had
Hellion.
I did have Hellion because I like having lots of leadership. And my last piece was Jubilee because Energy Explosion in the set is really good, as is giving -1 to attack and damage when she hits, pushes to perplex. 2 leaderships on the team, plenty of Psychic Blast, just all around pretty balanced. No outwit, unfortunately, but +6 theme was good. And this venue, I don't think they knew about the 3-map rule, so they just said play whatever maps. But I pretty much picked the cargo ship every single time because blocking is good for protecting Old Man Logan on the approach. And it's open enough that the TKs can work and get characters where they need to be. So I ended up playing, it was 3 rounds, cut to top 16 for some reason. I'm just pulling up the results now so I can get the names of people to be polite. 1 second. There we go. My opponent had the super rare Emma. He had theme and a bunch of pretty much just random X-Men. He seemed pretty new from what I could tell. So this game wasn't too difficult. Jim Mansfield. I won map roll, putting us on the cargo ship, and he was extremely new. I had a really good team. Stuff happened. Round 2, after traveling all the way to Erie, I played against my friend Devin, who has a team that he will talk about later. But when we both sat down, I think we basically both expected me to win. But it ended up being a little bit closer than we both thought. Although you could not roll a breakaway to save your life with OEA to actually get
or hit an attack with her. So
that's true. That is also true. But you did end up getting 125 points. Because you didn't kill Old Man Logan, you didn't kill Mindy, you didn't kill Cyclops.
Yeah, I killed everyone else.
Yeah. Yeah, because Hellion was taking 10 billion damage every single game just to activate all the TKs, which was really awesome. Round 3, and the last round of Swiss was against my friend Weston. from the New York, Rochester general area. I'm not sure exactly where, but that general area. He came down with a bunch of people from that area, basically Ricky Kirk's crew, except Ricky was not actually there himself. He had Prime Magneto, which scared the hell out of me because, of course, Prime Magneto is extremely scary. He also had Banshee, Moira, Mystique, and other stuff that I can't remember, but it was not X-Men themed because Magneto is not an X-Men. But despite the fact that he should have won, I won because he could just not roll dice, apparently, and not having theme probs in a set where getting a theme is almost 50-50. It's a bit disadvantageous, although he should not have been missing his 12 attacks with Magneto or all the sidestep breakaways that he was doing. So I ended up wiping him out. I think I wasn't first seed. I think I was second seed at that point. But then we go to top 16, so literally over half the field. And I played against Ben Miles, who had one of the scarier figures in the set, Kid Gladiator. Although, unfortunately, I had plenty of Psychic Blast. This was the only game where I won map and did not pick the cargo ship because obviously the cargo ship is ridiculously good for a hypersonic character like that. So I ended up picking the sports arena. So it's basically the most open thing that I could think of because I don't really think there's any maps that just don't have hindering and just are blank pretty much. So the hindering bonus was a thing, but it was pretty whatever. So I ended up he didn't have any TK somehow, so it was basically I moved up a little, but not enough so that he could hypersonic first turn. He moved up a little. I had Hellion TK like my whole team. Start with Cyclops, hit him. Leading at that point was 11 on a 17, or no, 11 on 17 plus hinderings, 18. So I hit. I think Mindy followed up and then made some other attacks. What did he else? He had Chamber as well. He had other stuff. I don't even remember, but ended up winning that. Kind of surprisingly, despite the fact that I did have Psychic Blast, Kid Gladiator, still crazy scary. And then, unfortunately, the last round of the tournament for me was against Joe Easton, who he did have theme. He had Title Professor X. Or no, he didn't have theme because he had Rusty. Rusty, Title Professor X, Artie, Surge, and something else. Yes. Oh, Magic, the really important piece, the super rare Magic. Thank you, Devin. So he actually won map roll. Oh yeah, because I rolled a crit miss. He rolled a crit hit. So he put us on the convention center, the indoor WizKids premium one with all the blocking and walls and whatnot. So he moves up a little. I do awesome Hellion TK all my characters. I try to kill Surge in one turn, but unfortunately the dice are not with me. I missed some attack rolls. And then because I had to use theme probs, I had tokens on my characters, which sucked. And then he ended up hitting Minty to her stop click with Magic because 4 penetrating damage will do that, although she doesn't even have a reducer to begin with anyways. But she was on her stop click with a token, so she couldn't push or she would die. I tried to kill Surge again with Cyclops, which was a push on him, but her hypersonic would have been really, really bad because he could have easily one-shot Hellion because he took a bunch of damage to do all the TKs. And then I missed some more reasonable attack rolls. And then Old Man Logan missed a 4 to kill Rusty in one shot, and it wasn't good. My opponent at that point even admitted that the dice were just not happening. Unfortunately, he'd end up just cleaning me up. And then at all the proceedings, I had Jubilee get a crit miss push just to rub it in when I was already totally going to lose, which ended up putting her on a click low enough that he could then mind control Darwin with Artie to kill her with his lovely, really, really, really high 2 damage. And then I didn't want to surrender, so I had Darwin just to survive for a little bit for no reason to do and accomplish nothing. So I ended up getting knocked out, but it wasn't so bad because he ended up placing second, so It's not that bad to lose to somebody who places that high. And then I judged at 401 games, and that was good. Had a lot of fun watching all the games, seeing some people. So we had a lot of people traveling because we had Nick Peterson and Patricia were at Erie as well. He won there. Then they also ended up traveling to Toronto the next day. So seeing them 2 days in a row was surprising, but nice. We had some travelers from London, Ontario, and other areas. We had Dan Upham from Windsor. So, yeah, a lot of very wide field of people from different places. And I guess we'll go to Devin next to talk about the exact same opens as me.
Can I ask a quick question? Did you have to do any stuff ruling or any particular shenanigans that showed up, or pretty much basic question, nothing crazy from the interactions on this set?
There was one ruling that was weird where somebody had a character on their last click, one token without willpower, went to move them, didn't check the card on the dial before he did, started to click it, basically had an uh-oh moment, and then was like, I want to take it back. And then I was like, well, you kind of started to click it, so you can't really do take backsies at that point. And because it was my friend Manny playing, I didn't want to look biased, so I also called over the other judge, Glenn, to just confirm. And yeah, but as far as the actual rules of the set go, there's something really that weird.
Yeah.
It's pretty, I can't really think of anything that I was like, oh, that's interesting. Just more new rules being, or the current rules, I should say at this point, being confusing. Yeah.
Cool. Thanks.
So I guess we can move on to Devin to basically do a lot of repeating there.
Yeah, I mean, I went to the same 2 events and even played in one of the same games because, of course, we traveled 3.5 hours each way to play each other. Yeah, so on Saturday, I ended up playing a team of Moira, McTaggart, Mystique, Oya, Penance, and Cypher. It was not what I wanted to be playing. My rares were the Rare Magic and Rock Slide, and I didn't really want to put them on my team. I couldn't get an X-Men theme team. I didn't have enough X-Men. It was kind of a mess of pulls in general. So in round 1, I played against a woman named Jen. She had a team of Mystique, Beast, Oya, Darwin, and something else that I can't remember. But she was not particularly experienced. Just kind of moved up into the middle of the map after I moved up. I cleared, hit her Oya for 4 damage, and double tokened her Beast. Put my Cypher up there. She charged my Cypher and got him onto his stop click with Mystique, but only after she'd moved her Oya on her last click next to him. So he just poisoned her to death and killed the Mystique. With her last character, she finally killed Moira McTaggart, but that was it. So that wasn't a particularly difficult game. Round 2 was against Jay. Yeah, I really didn't expect to win that one at all because he had actual figures that did stuff. And he won map roll because I didn't have a theme team. So no theme probs even. So he killed a lot of my stuff really quickly, but I ended up killing a bunch of things despite missing almost every attack with Oya before he finally managed to finish me off in that game. Scored 125 points, so it was looking pretty good. But I only needed to make top 16, so that wasn't particularly difficult. In game 3, I faced a guy named Dave who had a team of M, the Uncommon Beast, the Chargequake one, the Chase Mr. Sinister, and the Uncommon Cyclops. So I won map roll there, and I chose Prison 42. I moved up, he moved up, I cleared. Other than moving my Cypher up into the middle of Prison 42, he hypersonicked for 10 movement with M to hit Cypher onto his stop click and double tokened her. So I just kind of moved up and killed her and then finished off the rest of his team from there. Because she was double tokened in the middle of my team. Yeah, also he did manage to kill some stuff, including killing my Cypher, needing a 10 on like the last turn with his Mr. Sinister, but I wiped him out eventually. I was 8th in Swiss, but it was top 16, so I had to play in top 16, and that would be my last round. I don't remember my opponent's name in the top 16. Do you know, Jay? Did you still have the results open?
No, I'm sorry. I don't actually have it open right now.
Okay, that's fine. Anyway, he had a Kid Gladiator team. I had no penetrating damage at all or outwits from higher point characters, so I couldn't outwit him until I hit him. He rolled out of I think 3 attacks with his Impervious. I rolled a 2 for Blades to deal no damage on 1 attack, so I never dealt any damage to his Kid Gladiator, and he got like +3 to all of to all of his stats and just wiped out my team. But I killed a bunch of his stuff, which didn't matter because it was an elimination round at that point. So that was the end of my Saturday tournament. I was disappointed with my team, but I think it went okay despite that. So then on Sunday, played in Toronto at 401 Games where Jay was judging, and I pulled for my rares the M and All New Wolverine, which was much better than my last 2 rares. So I also played the X Factor Jean Grey and Surge because I needed a leadership, and she was the only leadership, and TK is awesome with Hypersonic, and Surge is a Hypersonic piece, which is obviously amazing and sealed. Again, a team with absolutely no penetrating damage, so I was definitely worried going in that I was going to end up facing another Kid Gladiator and not actually be able to get through his reducers. And I did face a Kid Gladiator, but I did beat it somehow, but we'll get to that in a minute. Yeah, so in round 1, I faced a local named Jarrett. He had a team of Fat, Marvel Girl, the common X-Men Cyclops, Warrior McTaggart, Beast, and Cypher at 30 points for some reason. I don't know why that was included on the team, really, because it's not very good. And I had no outwit anyway, so it really didn't matter. Yeah, so I won map roll. I took us to Prison 42 because I really like that map. Lots of walls. If you don't own WizKid's Office, which I do not happen to. So we both move up. He runs up with Cyclops, hits my Jean into a wall for 5 damage total. So she's on her last click, but that's fine. She's on Perplex, 18 defense, energy shield. So I run up with Surge to hit his Cyclops with 11 attack, and I miss, and then I fail my Hypersonic breakaway roll. And then I run up with All New Wolverine, and I miss. And then I had to end my turn after that. And then he moves up, hits my All New Wolverine with Fat. The next turn, I go with M and kill his Cyclops finally. And then crit miss, call out Jonathan and crit miss with him to take away his first life. His Beast moves up. I hit him with Surge, I think, down a couple clicks. The next turn, he moves up with his Beast again, misses my Jean because he needed like a 9 to hit or something, but he crit misses, which kind of sucked for him, but he was already on click like 4, so didn't matter too much. Yeah, and then he also crit misses with Fat to double token him and push him, which was really unfortunate for him. There was just a lot of really bad rolling in that game in general. So the next turn, I clean up his Beast and his Fat and run my All New Wolverine into the corner so she doesn't die, and mop up his Moira and Cypher and Marvel Girl because they can't really do much at that point. I think actually none of them... I mean, Marvel Girl could technically have damaged M if she got her damage perplexed by Moira, but it was pretty much impossible for him to win at that point. So yeah, I won that round. The second round, I faced another local named Jimmy, who had a team of Jubilee, Mindy, Marvel Girl, X-Student, Old Man Logan, and Sprite, which was fairly good, but I thought I had a pretty good chance of beating because I could just Hypersonic and run away. He got to choose map, picked the map, which is on the other side of Hydra Island, which I can't remember the name of right now, but it's just an indoor map with a bunch of walls.
Nick Fury's Safe House?
Yeah, that's the one, Nick Fury's Safe House. Yep, that's definitely it. Yeah, so I ran up, I moved up, he moved up. I rolled leadership with Jean Grey. TK'd M up. She hypersonicked, hit Sprite for 3, and then failed her hypersonic breakaway roll to stand in the middle of his entire team. So that was not ideal. And then I just moved in with all new Wolverine and called out Jonathan to try to salvage it a little bit. Jonathan missed hitting Old Man Logan, needing an 8, which wasn't that surprising, but at least prevented him from killing M on the next turn. The next turn, I ran up with Surge, missed Jubilee, and failed my hypersonic breakaway roll again. I proceeded to miss my next 4 attacks, needing 7s and 6s, and just couldn't win from there. But I scored 125 points, I think, by killing. I killed his Jubilee eventually. I killed his ex-student, and I killed his Sprite. I killed his Sprite with my Jean Grey with her last action to take 2 penetrating damage and die, because really all I needed was points at that point, and I wasn't going to win. Yeah, he also super sensed out of a couple of attacks on Old Man Logan, and just the dice were not in my favor. So this is 3 hypersonic breakaway roll fails at this point. Round 3, I faced a guy named Adam who had a Kid Gladiator. He also had a Skids, a Cyclops, and a Knoll, and a Mystique. We both move up. I win the map roll. I choose Bank Heist. And then he runs up with his Kid Gladiator, hits my M, moves up with a couple of his... Okay, I don't know who it was, so sure. And barriers his people in. I kill his barrier and charge through with M to kill his Cyclops. And then he runs up with Kid Gladiator, misses again, and then I ran out. I hit him a couple times with all new Wolverine and Jonathan. I rolled 1s for blades on both of those attacks, so didn't actually deal any damage to him. He breaks away with hypersonic and misses again. I run after him. He pushes and is double token at this point, so I clear and then I run after him. At this point, M is just kind of standing in the corner fighting his Mystique, and a Knoll and Kid Gladiator at the baseline. I run up with all new Wolverine and I hit him for 3 damage. I run up with Jonathan and I miss. I run up with Surge and I miss. He kills Surge, and then eventually my M kills his Mystique because he rolled 1s on all of his blades. Jonathan kills Kid Gladiator by rolling a 6 on his blades, and then the game was over because it was just a Knoll against the rest of my team. So that was a surprising win because I still had no penetrating damage at all to kill a Kid Gladiator. So I really didn't expect to win that game, but well played. Just his dice really didn't work out in his favor. Missed my all new Wolverine needing 6s 3 times or something. It was pretty ridiculous. Then that was the end of Swiss. I was 2-1 with a decent number of points. I ended up, I think, 4th or 5th in. I think I was 5th. So I ended up facing a guy named Max in the top 8 who had the Headmaster Wolverine, Mindy, Marvel Girl, and Kitty Pryde. The Headmaster Wolverine was the only real threat on that team. He picked Wakanda, so he couldn't really shoot me with anybody else or anything, so I just sort of ran up. I hypersonicked with M with a 12 attack to try to hit his Headmaster Wolverine. I missed horribly, and then I rolled a 1 for hypersonic breakaway to stand next to him again. So I cleared everybody else. He hit M. I TK'd up all new Wolverine the next turn. She charged, misses, calls out Jonathan. He misses. Surge hypersonics and also misses. Then he misses his attack on all new Wolverine because he needed an 8 or something because I perplexed up my defense. So I'm not quite sure why that was what he attacked. And none of the rest of his team can really do anything. They're all 10 attack, 2 damage, so they can't really damage him even. and they need like 9s to hit all new Wolverine, and none of them were adjacent to Jonathan. So eventually I start hitting his Headmaster Wolverine, and he decides to regen whenever I get him to a stop click. He succeeds the first one, but I just hit him again the next turn, and he misses his second regen because of the -1 from stop click to just stay on that stop click, and I hit him twice the next turn to kill him. And after that, it was just the 3 50-point characters left, and I cleaned them up in a couple of turns. They couldn't really do much once the Headmaster Wolverine was dead. Yeah, so then I was in top 4 against another local named Manny. He was playing the SR Prime White Queen, Uncommon Cyclops, Gateway, Mindy Cuckoo, which is the sidestep Psychic Blast one, and Skids. He wins map roll, and we go to the saloon from Elseworlds. I move up. He moves to the middle of the bottom part of the mat. I move up to the top of the mat near the stairs. He clears, I clear. He moves up to the top of the map to try to shoot me the next turn. I hypersonic with Surge to try to hit his Skids with 11 attack, and I miss. I TK my all-new Wolverine forward. She charges, hits Skids. M hypersonics and hits Cyclops for 3 damage. Then he's on his sidestep range combat expert clicks. He tries to hit me the next turn, but his Mindy and his which one was it even? Skids can only attack all new Wolverine, and she has a 19 defense in close, so neither of them hit. And Emma unfortunately misses her attack on M to not do any damage, and then he carries back to the other side. I follow him with hypersonic. I finish off his Skids with all new Wolverine after TKing her back and charging. Drop Jonathan, and Jonathan kills his Cyclops. Clear M, miss with Surge on the Skids right before that. He kills all new Wolverine after rolling breakaway sidestep with Mindy. I hypersonic with M the next turn and hit White Queen for 3, and clear everyone else. He tries to hit M again, does hit her, deals 1 damage. I hypersonic with Surge the next turn and finish off his White Queen, and then it was just Gateway and Mindy Cuckoo left, so I finished them off a couple turns after that. So then I was in the finals against Tom Kerr, and he had pulled a Chase Iceman, along with the Common Cyclops, the Rare Angel, and an X-Student. So he had a 4-man X-Men theme team with a Chase Iceman on it. He wins the map roll because I didn't have theme. He chooses the cargo ship, so he basically wins at that point because he's on an outdoor map with Chase Iceman with tons of blocking. I try to run up and hit him. I kill X-Student and Cyclops eventually, but his Chase Iceman just kills the rest of my team. I never get to hit him. So that was the finals. I'm pretty happy with my performance with my no penetrating damage team, but Hypersonic is really, really good. Those are my 2 WKOs.
It was funny because I was worried that you were going to do super duper well at the foreign one and not the local one.
Nope, that didn't happen. Kid so Gladiator, man.
Yeah.
And my polls just really bad.
So after all that sealed talk, we get to the interesting meat of the show, which is going to be PJ talking about 2 constructed opens, and away we go.
So like was just said, I played in 2 constructed WKOs. My first one was at Fantasy Games in South Bend. There were 21 people-ish, somewhere between 20 and 24. We did 4 rounds, cut to top 8. I played the team that my Majestics article was written about, which was Overdrive, Samantha Wilson, Beta Ray Bill, General Lane, and a 5ID teleporter. So the whole game plan with it is just to be hyper aggressive while being protected by Bill. So round 1, I played against 150-point Dormammu, 50-point Trelane, Mixie, and a Mangog Retaliator. And at the beginning of the game, he rolls a 6 on the Trelane die and a 1 on the Mixie die. And I'm like, well, that's a
perfect roll. Exactly.
So he like just creeps up a little bit with Trelane. He wins map. You'll notice that that's going to be the theme of this whole event. He won map, and I don't think he realized the type of reach that my team had. So like he crept up with Trelane up into a different square of hindering, and then kept immunity on everyone else. So I ran across the map and I called in Cyclops because I wanted to have the precision strike on Trelane's super senses, and I also wanted to be able to kill him through his stop, so I needed the knockback. So when I moved up and called in Chase Cyclops, I went RCE both to damage. I had a PD line to him. So I killed the Trelane outright on the first turn, and then I was able to sidestep back. And it was just a whole lot of dancing. And then he kept trying to get shots off and just couldn't. I was kind of helping him a little bit because like he wasn't going to push Mixie onto Pulse Wave, and I'm like, you probably want to take the push here. And then like I let him get off a retaliation with Mangog because I sidestepped into position, so I couldn't sidestep back out. So he hits with that, and he starts to go promote, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna ignore him and let him go promote because I still have a bunch of IDs left. So I kill Mixie. And then, like, I just pass turn and let him go promote so I can get the extra points. So he promotes. Since he was nice and didn't just concede, like, I called in Magneto and shot him, and then I just let him stand there. And then he created him and just obliterated him. I was like, oh, okay, well.
That helps.
Yeah, I guess. Gave him 50 points, so all right. So I scored 420, I think, in that win. So that was a good one. Round 2, I played against Andrew Krempik. He's a local guy to South Bend. He was playing like 2 King Sharks, King Aquaman, Throg, and Mangog Retaliator. Is that 6 characters? And maybe Asserter, I think, was the 6th character. Yeah. So again, another instance of they didn't realize I had full map reach. So he sidesteps up with a King Shark and into a square of hindering, and I just run across the map and shoot it in the face because that's just kind of what my team does. He wasn't in stealth. Sorry, he was 1 square in front of the stealth because I called in Magneto, outwitted his toughness, and outwitted his shape change, and then shot him twice and killed it. So I put him down a King Shark on my first turn. And then that's where I found out how Mangog's retaliation really worked. You get Magneto off the map. I thought it was within 3 of the target, not within 3 of him. So I'm like, yeah, nobody's near Magneto. If he kills him, he kills him. It's fine. And then he retals in. He's like, no, it's within 3 of him. I'm like, you're so wrong. Give me that card. Oh, okay. He rolls a 10, so I prop him out of it, and he rolls a crit. So crit hit my entire team, and luckily Bill rolled the imperv. It 1-hit Magneto because it did 5 and knocked him into a wall, so he died. It killed my general lane. It popped my overdrive. It put Sam onto click 5 or click 6 onto her last click or whatever, and I was just like, this is going to be uphill. But he moves in with his King Shark and flurries, and the only target he could reach was my Beta Ray Bill, and hits the first one. I imperv out of it, and he misses the second one. So I hit 2 back-to-back impervs with Bill. That felt pretty good. And then I call in Hawkeye to kill the Mangog and get a little chip damage in, and then the next turn after that I cleared up after realizing that Beta Ray Bill has combat values. Like he can actually damage stuff. Like
amazing.
He's not just a 125-point support piece. I guess I can charge punch you and then just still move away. Like that's the thing I can do. And yeah, so that got me the win there at a full 300. Round 3, I played against Joe Redwine, and he was playing Mr. Nobody and Shredder Clone, Mini Shredder, 2 Surters, and he wins map, shocker. And he sidesteps up with Clone and drops Mini, and that's it. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to see if I can Hawkeye his whole squad. So I move all the way across the map, perplex up my attack. No, perplex up my damage to get greedy. And I crit hit the first Surtur. Then I shoot the second Surtur and kill it. Attack the Mr. Nobody. He fails the shape change. I hit him. He fails the super senses. I hit the mini. Then I'm like, I can either run him off the map or I can shoot Shredder Clone, but I need an 11. I was like, whatever. I'm going to try for it. Roll the crit hit.
Oh my god.
I was just like, man, that turn could not have went any better. After the game was over, we realized he had first turn immunity on Mr. Nobody and both of his Surturs. So that was mostly an illegal turn. So I'm a dirty cheater. The funniest part about that is when we sat down, like I talked to Joe and I was like, well, just so you know, I'm going to cheat this game. And and then it came true. But after he went down that far, it was just really uphill for him. Like he moved up a little bit, and I was able to call in the Iceman chase and get a single target pulse wave on Clone to kill him without replacing. So he just had a mini shredder and a Mr. Nobody left. He ended up killing my general lane because like I just couldn't hit mini for a couple turns. Like he got in with a penetrating and then punched him, and I just rolled with it, killed that. After many dropped, obviously that was game. So round 4, I'm already 3
up. I have a quick question.
Sure.
So you didn't want to score the extra point off of the shark?
No, I would just rather it die. I knew like the game was already solidified at that point, and at 3-0 I was guaranteed in. So I didn't need the extra point. I considered it. I was like, I even was like sitting there looking at it, like I could call in Cyclops and then be able to kill Shark, or I can just it's possible. I'll just stick with that. I didn't want to have to roll against the -2, so I was just like, yeah, I'll just do that and kill him. So round 4, I played against Edward Shelton, who flew up to visit his grandmother, but the day before he was visiting his grandmother, he wanted to come play in a WKO. He definitely had an interesting build. He was playing a 175-point Merc Jet with Morlock and Proteus and a full teleporter because the rule that says vehicles can't get effects of relics and resources is gone. So they can just get the inspirations and stuff now. So basically the whole concept is it's a deep dial. Oh, he also had 3 Carnages? Yeah, 3 Carnage. The whole concept is just really deep dial figure, pilot it with Proteus. You have access to either the hypersonic prob or calling in 175-point beat. We play, and he like creeps a little bit. Or I actually won map this time, and I just passed. So he adjusted movement a little bit. I moved across the map, called in Hawkeye, killed all of his Carnages. Oh, and he had an 8 Batman, killed it too. I put it down to just his jet and then controlled the tempo for the rest of the game. He killed one of my call-ins. I don't remember who, and that was it. So going into Top Cut, I was the number 1 seed. And so moving to Top 8, I play against... Oh, wow. I don't even remember what my Top 8 game was. That's bad, right? I tried to look it up in the win, but that's where I found out that my events haven't been saved in the win at all this year. So
Nice.
yeah,
That's good.
I have the event I judged, and that was it. So I just messaged WizKids right before this episode started. So yeah, I'm gonna try to think. Oh, okay, I remember now. All right, he was playing Kite Man, Doc Ock, King Shark, King Aquaman, Title Deadpool, and something else that I can't recall because he had 6 pieces. So knowing that Beta Ray Bill doesn't really do anything in that matchup, I better suited for these foes and replaced him with Nick Fury and just had a real boy Nick the entire game. So my whole strategy going into it, since I had time to prepare for who I was playing going into Top 8, was if he moved his Title Deadpool out, I was going to blow him up with Magneto. And that's pretty much exactly what happened. Is he started to creep a little bit, and then I moved into an aggressive outwit position to outwit, sidestep, and flurry on King Shark, and then also outwitted flurry on Doc Ock. So he couldn't really move in, so he just waited. And then that's when I moved over and killed Title Deadpool, double tokened his whole team. I mispositioned a little bit that he capitalized on, and was able to kill my general lane, so it became a little bit more of an uphill battle from there. I missed a big attack on Doc Ock, and then I was like, well, I guess I'm going to call in Cyclops, and if I hit the sidestep breakaway, I'm in a good place. I succeeded it, and then I hit the sidestep, go RCE, both to damage, shoot Doc Ock for 5, and knock him 5 squares back into a map edge and kill him. So from there, all he could do was I used overdrive to keep Nick Fury separated, and I left Sam tied up with King Shark, knowing that he has to hit a 20 defense against a prob. And then he did on the first attack. So I was like, oh no. But then I'm 19 with 2 probs. So from there, I just picked off what he had left. Ignored King Aquaman longer than I should have. In hindsight, I would kill him immediately. Forgot about the whole, if you're standing in water, I can move you a square. So, like, generating free breakaway for his pieces is pretty good, because he did it to my Samantha toward the end to get away from her. He just popped water underneath her and then blew her back a square. So I win that one, go into top 4, play against Edward again. This game goes much closer. I still move out in Hawkeye everything but the ape, because I think I missed either the jet or the ape on my attack, but I killed all 3 carnages, and that was the goal. So he moves up a little bit. He like hypersonic and kills my general lane. And then I call in something, shoot his jet. He calls in Nightwing, kills the Iceman that I had called in. So he's up a little bit on points, but he can't get away. So I end up popping his jet. Proteus lands. He moves the 8 Batman up out with my Impervious, because he was within 4 of Bill. And he one hits my Bill, or not one hits, but hits him to a stop, and then the 8 Batman kills it. And so Bill went down, and I was like, oh gosh, now I got to deal with this Proteus. So I kill the Proteus, and it's down to 8 Batman, and he has a Tony Zuko Pog. I have Samantha Wilson and a real boy Green Arrow that I pushed my charged up to call in, which then popped and killed my overdrive, because I forgot he already popped once, so he died. So I have real boy Chase Arrow, and he goes to concede, and I'm like, well, the game's not over. You still have a piece. And sure enough, I move up with Sam. I miss my attack. He hits me with 8 Batman, and I'm like, oh god, why didn't I just let him concede? I missed my next 2 attacks on him, but so does he, because I have a 19 with a prob at this point. But I'm like, he's using Zuko to prevent me from getting Arrow in, so I have to sidestep Arrow into a room, shoot a wall out, sidestep him through the wall area, sidestep him again, all while trying to deal with the ape, and eventually I finally get the shot off with Arrow on his 8 Batman and end it. And he ended up getting 295 points in his loss. So wow. I had to table him to win. That's why I was telling him, don't concede, because there's no real reason to, because it's not over. And yeah, that about bit me really hard. So my teammate KJ, he is an avid episode watcher. It's going to be me and him in the finals, and I'm just like, man, I'm tired. I don't feel good. And I just look at the judge like, I concede. I'm just, no. So we don't even play the final game. Me and him are both undefeated on the day. I'm like, yeah, you got it. I want to go to bed. So I still got the lockjaw, though. Still, KJ is a great person. Still gave me the lockjaw. But he got his first ever event win, and he got his nationals bid. So that's really what he was there for and what mattered. So, teamwork and camaraderie.
Brilliant.
So that was it for that event. I got home at about 10:30 that night. Get to sleep by about 11:30. wake back up at 3:30 to get on the road to drive down to meet up with Dan. And we get to Dyersburg, and so I decided to play a different team for this. I went with 175-point Goblin King, Bizarro Green Arrow, Surtur, and 1 Carnage with a full teleporter. No, maybe 5 ID teleporter. I can't even remember now. I think it was 5 ID. So it's +4 monster theme. It's something I've been wanting to kind of test more for post rotation, but I just wanted to see if it was mechanically viable. They only ended up getting 13 people, so they did a 3 rounds cut top 8. They could have did top 4, but they wanted to, like, I mean, the definite pricing is for top 8, so they're, yeah, well, let's cut 8 because why not? Everybody's already here. So round 1, I play against a guy named Malcolm. I can't remember his last name, but he was playing Darwin, so I get to play against a Darwin in my very first round. He was playing an X-Men theme team. I think he was like +7 or 8, so he won map. We go to the I don't know the name of the map, but it's one of the new X-Men maps with all the indoor area.
Muir Island.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So we go there, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna set up my retail on Darwin. It'll be easy. Ha! No, it wasn't. I was like, I got this Surtur. I'm gonna crap all over this Darwin, and he moves them into a building, and then puts his pieces spread out enough to where I have nowhere to place Surtur. So I'm like, okay. So I start creeping a little bit. Like first turn, I pick powers because I can. So I pick TK and like Invincible or something, so I can put the Asgardian Shield on Bizarro Green Arrow. You don't take the Unavoidable because you have first turn immunity. Because the way it's worded now, you can't take damage from opposing effects at all. So I still get those powers. The next turn, I roll a 1 on my teleporter, which gives me the Wolverine inspiration. So I pick powers just because I can, and then take the free heal for 1. Then it's all me just kind of sidestep creeping. He's making sure his positioning's right. He's like pushing his Moira onto Perplex or onto Outwit, and just kind of setting everything up to get ready for his Colossus to come out and kill something. And he fails to see a particular line that I could have. So I sidestep up with Bizarro Green Arrow, call in Magneto, use him to free running shot, shoot a wall. It was blocking Darwin. Shoot at him again and miss. But then I pick powers, retaliate with Surtur, and 1-hit him. So there's been a lot of talk about Darwin just dying to Surtur. And while that is true, it doesn't mean it is necessarily easy. It was significantly harder than I thought it was going to be. If he would have been 1 square like diagonally up, like there's like a little like Tetris piece of blocking that looks like 3 squares with 1 in the middle. If he'd have been up 1 square into that, there's no way I could have been able to pull that shot off. Not without blowing like 3 other walls in the process, and like all it took was just that ever so slight positioning mistake was the only reason I got to kill Darwin. So then he was down on points and had to start being a little more aggressive. He was using Professor X, the mind controls through everything. He used that to move my Surtur into a kill box. So Surtur got wrecked. Carnage jumped in, killed the Jubilee he used to kill my Surtur. Jubilee calling from one of his free student IDs. Then like his Colossus was overextended a little bit, so I got to hit him really hard, but he was able to get back into a hiding spot and X-Men team ability heal him pretty much all the way back up. So it was a good team. Like no offense to him if he's watching, I didn't expect a lot out of it when I sat down against it, because it's just like random X-Men pieces, and I was like, yeah, they synergize, but okay. But no, it definitely it could have went a lot more south if I would have missed a couple attacks, or he would have hit a couple more attacks. There's a lot of things that could have happened. And also, Bizarro Green Arrow against mind control is really good because he couldn't mind control my Gabi, and my Gabi had a symbiote on it. I forgot to mention part of my build. Yeah, 10 points Asgardian Shield. So when he would mind control the Bizarro Green Arrow, he had to roll against plasticity to be able to move him to break away. So it never succeeded. All he was able to do with it was really got my Surtur killed and then kept moving my Carnage around to annoy me. So next round, I play against Zachary Brazier. He's a guy from Owensboro that plays with Dan and Dave and all them. And he's playing pretty much Dan's Unimine Nighthawk build, except for he's playing Asserter and Mirror, like Symbiote and Mirror both. So I win map. We go on the junkyard. I roll TK Inspiration on my teleporter, so I TK Goblin King out to the Symbiote and equip it. Then sidestep carry with Carnage to drop Bizarre Green Arrow down there to sidestep down. So, I get everybody in a nice little group. He uses Asserter to move out and drop Unimind on top of the Symbiote, and he passes. So I'm like, well, if I roll a 1 on my teleporter, it's really easy what I'm going to do. I roll the 1, which is Wolverine heal, so I don't have to take willpower. So I end up sidestepping up, calling in Nick, taking the shot for 3 on his Unimind. Take the push, heal off of it, use Carnage to reposition Goblin King back with Bizarre Green Arrow. He power action equips the Symbiote, sidesteps up onto a square of elevation, and passes. So then I sidestep up with BGA, call in Magneto, and I'm like, I'm just going to have fun with this. We'll just see if I can hit it. He misses the shape change. I shoot him. I crit with the first hit. I choose not to do knockback. It puts him on his stop. I do the second attack with Magneto. He fails the shape change. I hit and pop his Unimind on my turn 2, or my turn 3. So, he calls an arrow, one-shots my Bizarro Green Arrow, because he went +4 to damage. Who does that? So I know I had to, I wouldn't have died, if I just would have let it go the right way. But instead, I took the second action with him to push, and then gave him the -2, and he one-hit me because of the push. Because I'm bad at this game. But it was pretty bad for him already at that point. I just retaliate with Surtur, attacking Green Arrow, and then using the free penetrating damage to kill his Makari. So I get that, and then I take hypersonic speed with Goblin King, run over, and obliterate Green Arrow the rest of the way. He misses the super senses. He retaliates with Surtur. I had made him choose to where he had to fully dedicate to Goblin King, but I talked him out of it because I was like, man, these are guaranteed points if you kill my Surtur. So he's like, yeah, and then I can shoot your Carnage, and I'm like, shit, yeah, you can. Okay, all right, so he can get them both. That's fine. He retaliates in and crit misses.
Oh,
I'm like, oh no, he just had the worst luck.
That's terrible.
Yeah, he ends up killing my Carnage, and that was it. By the time I cleaned up everything. So he had no luck. Round 3, last round of Swiss, I play against Sam Powell, who's playing her Shredder build that's posted over in the Clixed group and a couple other places. That game was terribly one-sided in her favor, which you wouldn't think because Goblin King should have a really good Shredder matchup, but I could not hit anything. And I don't like to blame dice, because she played very well. I don't want to take away from that, but I had a chance. I retaliate mini and I crit him because I'm just rolling a certain number of crits for some reason with Surtur. So I hit him. I get 4 damage in on him, and I'm like, okay, well when I call in Magneto, I'll have a prob. I can actually kill him twice this turn. So I call him in. I shoot. I miss. I prob. I miss. I shoot again and I miss. I'm like, oh. That's how this is going to go. 3 chances at an 8. I'm like, if I hit one of them, it pops him, and then it puts him next to Goblin King, who then picks Flurry and just deletes him. So that didn't happen. And then in order to set up that prob, I had to separate my Goblin from Bizarro Green Arrow. I'm like, if I get shot by her Green Arrow, that sucks, but it's not too bad. She goes RCE, or calls him in, range combat expert, both to damage, rolls a crit hit, which is really bad for me. So puts him to his last click, And I'm just like, well, yeah. Luckily, she couldn't get there to get a shredder damage in to finish him off. So, but it only took a couple turns for her to get over there and kill him. Like I needed to roll anything but a 1 on my teleporter that turn in order to be able to have power 2 active, and I rolled the 1. Sure enough. So couldn't get the free heals to try to get back into the game. So she ended it. I scored 0 IDs. I scored like 10 points on IDs. So going into top 8, I am the 6th. Yeah, I'm the 6th seed. So I play against. He's playing Renee Tilly, Shredder Clone, Mini Shredder, and then like Lieutenant Kyle and Lieutenant Uhura, and no ID cards. I win map, put him on Mud Pit. He phases up to the corner by the blocking and doesn't realize that he left me a line of fire on a direct diagonal to his Renee. So I call in arrow and shoot her for 5 and kill her. And from there, I blocked off all the elevation changes on that side. So he couldn't get free shredder damage in on anybody until after I'd already whittled out the rest of his support. So it was just, it took a long time, and he positioned pretty well other than that initial move. But I just outlasted the shredders that time. So into top 4, play against Sam Powell again, and the exact same thing happened. I couldn't hit anything at all. She ends up coming up using Ironheart to outwit Bizarro Range Combat Expert, shoots him with Cosmic Spider-Man to a stop, shredders him a couple times, and he ends up dying. The only attack I hit that game was I did 1 Pulse Wave damage to Claw Shredder, and I hit with 1 Retaliation and then missed with the Symbiote. But like it got to a point where it was just kind of laughable because I do a running shot Pulse Wave on her entire team. I get everything in it. I'm like, got her. And no, I only hit Claw Shredder, and of all the defenses, the 18 is apparently too hard to hit when you have an 11. And so I do the 1, and I'm like, yep, that's how this game's going. And then she calls in Superman, hits Goblin twice, missed my Impervious. So I'm like, all right, I'm safe. So I don't check her teleporter, and I couldn't even attack her if I wanted to. But I picked Super Senses and Imperv, or Invincible, so I have a rollout to go with it, and I have my shape change, but then she restocks Superman and calls him back in and finishes it. So that was the end of my day. So yeah, it was fun. I kind of like the team. I don't know that I would play it again because it wasn't really my tempo. Like I like something that's a little more mobile. So, but if people like the monster theme team, it's definitely viable. Like all the pieces are just really good. And Surtur is good at killing Darwin if your opponent lets it happen.
Yeah, especially once the Green Arrow can't be called in anymore. Much harder to kill Bizarro Green Arrow.
Yep. Yeah, that's why, like I was saying in the beginning, I wanted to test it more for post rotation because you can't Hawkeye machine gun him, and you can't use Chase Green Arrow to shoot through him. So it becomes more of a much more annoying piece. You don't necessarily need to play him on theme, but he'll be on a lot of teams come June.
Yeah. So I guess after all that wonderful constructed talk, we can try and go over and see what our takeaways are, because there's a lot of data. We have, just that alone. Clixed has a post now tracking all the winners. So I guess since you've been talking the least so far, Pedro, what are your main takeaways so far?
Well, I think that you still have some named staples there. They're less super famous, but I think Overdrive is still very prevalent, which is an interesting thing. I think the personally that rock, paper, scissor, lizard, Spock continues to grow, which is great. You don't have two or three main teams that are going to be facing each other. The options are there. Very hard to have a Swiss Army knife team that says this team is great against every other team. I think Beta, as Beta Ray Bill, as many people mentioned, it is here to stay. I mean, everybody saw that it was competitive. Patrick knows his stuff and did an amazing piece, and it's showing up. I think that there will be some questions there, so I don't want to jump into the topic of if shredders are the new boogeyman, if they're unbeatable. I don't think they are unbeatable, but they are there and they're going to be there. I also don't think we should change them, but these are also going to be discussed later. I think that people are still playing Unimind again. Unimind with Nighthawk, I think it's still a thing because Green Arrow, unless you have forces to deal with Nighthawk first before he's capable of dealing with Unimind, so that way you can still have some tactics there and direct what's going on. Wouldn't play him with a Peace Machine, which could make him survivable, but then you lose your thing, which is calling people that can annihilate your opponent. But Jaquin is still being played from what we saw. The only one thing that I've seen everywhere is IDs and retaliators. Although I'm not particularly biased toward retaliators, I think IDs are, obviously there to stay as long as they're being issued. But unless you guys, and I would like to hear you guys that we were there, Darwin, Leech, how you guys see these guys showing up?
I saw 2 Darwins and 1 Leech combined between 2 events. So 34 players, 2 Darwins, 1 Leech main force. I saw 1 Leech sidelined. So 2 Darwins, 2 Leeches amongst 34 forces, personally.
I mean, I didn't play any constructed, but I think I see Leech being sidelined a little more than he's main forced probably in the future. We'll see.
I'm main forcing Prodigy in 2 weeks. That counts.
Prodigy is awesome.
Yeah.
I like.
Oh, he can still be better suited, right? Jokes aside.
Yeah. Daniel Powell was talking about somebody in Lexington that was playing main force Casey Green Lantern and then was using better suited to swap out for Leech if he needed it.
That makes me really angry that I can't have him on the show. Yeah, as long as the teleporter exists, I feel like you're just better off having Leech sideline because there's just better support piece options potentially if you don't play against Pick a Power. And if you face random Pick a Power, why not? Because Pick a Power is kind of weird right now because, like, none of them are good dials without the Pick a Power. Like, Jaheim has some decent stats, but it's still just a basically blank dial waiting to use Pick a Power. So you're going to play against somebody who actually has it. Yeah, I guess switch out your random whatever for him or something else that's a good. I mean, he's just good in general for all the outwits. I mean, on a Shredder team, you could get rid of any Pick a Power invincible and then get rid of some other powers with that wit. So you're just like almost getting double outwits on essentially all their important characters. So but he's still only kind of randomly good because I feel like in this particular environment, there's just so much you can spend the 30 points on as far as characters go.
I just think Prodigy's way better main force because not only does he has outwit, but he also has sidestep, so he's mobile. He also has willpower, and he has the X-Student trait, which changes, like, it makes a lot of your 6s into hits, like that 5-1 roll is now a 7. So stuff like that changes a lot of intricate little combat math. Makes you a lot more likely to hit your 8s when you need 8s. So that's why I like him better main force, is he does more than is just an anti-pick-a-power piece.
Do you see people playing Darwin on their main force with a teleporter so they can better suit him out if they're not facing Pick-a-Power?
I could see it for with Green Lantern ID to switch out to little Green Lantern, but nobody plays that
guy. Yeah, I know. No one's ever played it.
I hope you enjoy your last show. I still have the that one for you for your birthday if I ever see you again, because I'm not going to be in Michigan, but I'll eventually get it to you.
I'm trying to get back Canadian Nationals if it ever finds out when it's going to happen.
Yeah, if it happens.
Funny that you say that, because if you come, I can lend you my other Green Lantern in addition to giving you the one, so you can borrow both of them.
You guys heard it here. If show up at Canadian Nationals,
a
bunch of GLs.
That's actually not true, because mine's technically not tournament legal anymore, because I put like a little sticker thing on the base just so I know which one Adam actually played in top forward with at the World Cup, because he borrowed mine. But I don't care, because she's not good in the meta anymore, right? Barrier sucks now. I'm never gonna be using it.
Barrier is useless in the current
yeah, terrible. Worst power in the game.
Yeah, Sprite, man, just
That's
Sprite.
sarcasm, guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody's picking that up.
Yeah, Pedro, you mentioned the rock paper scissors kind of thing, and I was thinking about that because I've been building for Constructed. I'm like, well, I could do that, and that's kind of good against shredders, but then other stuff is good, and it's just, what? What do I play? It's like, yeah, I could play Bill because he's just good in general, and he can be awesome against shredders because of his trait, but then if my opponent's playing Sam Cap, they can just still Hawkeye my whole team, because why would a champion figure why would a player's only figure get to actually be good, Like freaking Sam Cap. Yeah, it's hard to tell. It's looking like a healthy environment, at least for now. At least as long as everybody's not knowing what the hell to play. Because from what I could tell on all those results, a lot of variety going on.
Yeah,
especially because,
but still, there's a lot of teams doing well, and that's what more people need to look at. Is just because it's first, or just because it's not first, doesn't mean it's not viable. Because there's a ton of factors that come into how games are won. Like, it can be fatigue, it can just be bad dice, it could just be lucky matchups all day.
Yeah,
it's not just shredders are broken. Like, there's a good amount of variety in the meta right now.
Yeah, I think the only problems in the meta now are that there's like a couple things that just make certain teams completely unviable. Like Hawkeye existing says certain things just become not viable. Shredders existing makes certain pieces not viable. Like how you just can't play a low point KC piece now, even though some of them are just really good. Like, I remember one time I was playing random team where I wanted Spectre for prob, and then he was just like, I'm going to shredder him. I'm like, oh, well, that just sucked. Yeah. Especially because none of those guys have Invincible. Devin, any thoughts? Because we're actually surprisingly going to be playing some Constructed soon.
Well, just on takeaways from playing a little more sealed, I want to say that Iceman is even better than I thought he was. I already thought he was really, really good, but after seeing Tom play him, I realized that he's even better than I initially thought, because if you get an outdoor map with blocking and you make yourself giant on your turn, you become not giant on your opponent's turn, so you can just hide behind it and shoot them over it, and he can spawn his pogs to block line of fire. It's not just that he's a high stat running shot pulse wave piece. He's really hard to hit just because of all of his little bits of utility around. Tom did lose one game to the Headmaster Wolverine because he didn't have anything to hit him past his stop clicks, really. But still, very impressive and very, very good team.
But couldn't he just have clones just pick him off after he hits the stop click?
Yeah, well, he would have had to hit attacks.
Why would you hit attacks? Why would that be a thing that happens?
Yeah. As far as Constructed goes, I'm looking forward to playing some again. I really didn't want to play during the time where Unimind Nighthawk was just like the top 4 of every event. But now that it seems like there's a lot more variety in the meta, I'm looking forward to playing some Constructed again, but I haven't really yet, so can't offer takeaways on that.
Yeah, we'll see what happens because even though we all live in the same general area, like I live 35-minute drive from Jason, and even when he wasn't ridiculously busy, that was a big commitment to go all the way to him because he has kids. And we're actually having where we got together, a couple people, you, me, Emily, to actually do some playtesting, which never happens. So
Yeah.
we'll actually start practicing what we preach on the show somehow, surprisingly.
Practicing our teams. Amazing.
I want to add, I've had many discussions about which Cyclops is better as a call-in. I not a single time called in the super rare Cyclops or ever wished that I had him over the chase. So for what that's worth, the RCE sidestep 8 range with auto-generating knockback is amazing. If you're
Didn't wish you had improved targeting blocking.
No, that's like the only thing I would use him for, really.
Yeah.
Or if I was main forcing in characters, then I would want him because he gets the extra attack. But no, there was not a single time that I wanted to use. I mean, I had him on the sideline, but there was not a single time I wanted to use him. So just there were some people talking about that, so I wanted to touch on that a little bit.
Well, your your Samcap team just doesn't. Even if they do pick like a really blocking map, like you just have so much movement, you barely care. It's never going to come up with that team. Did you have Cyclops on the other team?
Oh, no. I did not have Cyclops on my monster team. I was using 175 point Iceman. I had Wolverine, Magneto, Arrow, Shield. So, yeah, those were my 5 IDs. It was basically the exact same IDs from the event before, except for I cut Cyclops for Wolverine. Because healing off the stop clicks is really good.
Yeah.
That Wolverine is absolutely insane. Like, I underhyped the ID when it came out. People were just like, oh, it's so good. I'm like, you guys are all crazy. It's not that good. It's that good. Like, the free heal one on anything with a stop is just stupid. The interaction with the teleporter in that is ridiculous. You hit power 2, I'm just going to heal my entire team for 1.
Yep, exactly.
Like, why would I not do that?
Absolutely. Especially if you have stop clicks.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess PJ has played the most constructed so far. If there is one, what do you think is the single best thing right now?
What do you mean? Team or?
Yeah, just team.
Like, I know I just said it probably isn't, but it is probably Shredders, just because it's consistent and it's low risk. Like, there's a lot of builds where if you misplace or miscount squares or do something like that, you get punished really bad. Shredders, that punishment isn't nowhere near as bad. So it's a lot more forgiving for newer players and for anybody who's just prone to make mistakes after a long day, which is everyone. So the fact that it's just so consistent, since you don't have to roll dice, it means it's probably the best team right now, if I had to pick.
Pedro, what's any insight?
No, I have to agree. I'm still, while the teleporter exists, I'm still a little bit biased toward teams that, like Mr. Staff and other ones, even Jason's, the one that can make a lot of bogs and make your threat assessment from your opponent a little bit wonky. I totally agree with PJ that if you're starting and you want a safe place to go where mistakes are going to be less punished and you have some consistency, Shredder is the way to go. It's not by any means an easy team to play, but it does mean that you can afford to eventually have some bad luck. And even if you get killed the first time, you don't get KO in your back and you can do something out of it. Maybe with the only caveat that, as with any meta, everybody will be preparing for Shredder. So, the new factor is not there anymore. So expect to have people who know how to face your team. So that gives that added pressure of, knowing a little bit how to play it. But while the teleports exist, I'm still biased more towards a little bit more, POG friendly team for the moment to abuse the great call-ins. But come rotation, I think things are going to be a lot more interesting. I think beta should be definitely looked into. I think that the more beta prevails, the more Mjolnir will get to be relevant. So I expect a resurgence of Mjolnir for sure, and even maybe see Green Arrow played at the table. So that's what I'm looking into for the moment.
It's funny you mentioned both of those pieces because the team I'm thinking of right now has both of those things on it.
Yep.
I really want to play UXM Chase Magneto with Mjolnir and Green Arrow main force. So be interesting. We'll see what happens.
Of course, you have to be different in main force Green Arrow before
it actually retires. Yeah.
One thing that would be crazy and funny to do, but I don't see this being meta, is to make a combination of Mr. Spock with the Ghost of Abraham Lincoln, because Mr. Spock can force the trigger of the 4 scores and 7 years ago, and then you can keep clearing Green Arrow crazily. So that should be something interesting, but it's not going to be very meta, although the Ghost can do some crazy, neat things, but it's an interesting clearing machine for someone with high attack. Otherwise, you're not going to be hitting many things. A 12 attack can get you to the 19 from Mr. Spock and keep you clearing, but that demands a lot of positioning and someone that's not going to play aggressive team like PJ that's going to go up in your face and give you hell.
Yeah, that is the problem with main forcing Green Arrow.
Yep.
Yeah, I've heard about. I can't remember who told me this, but somebody mentioned giving Mjolnir to Green Arrow just so you could punch with him.
I saw that too, so he can attack when he has a token.
Yeah.
It's not terrible. You just can't use that range combat expert, and you don't shut off any powers.
Yeah. I don't see why you would do that over.
Just call in.
Yeah, exactly. Especially because that works now. I just don't. Why would you not do that?
When they brought that up, it was for a limited build.
Oh, okay, yeah, makes sense.
That does make more sense.
Yeah.
Pedro, you reminded me that I can see it from here, but I had a build I was considering of, I just call it Jasoning at this point, which is just the figure factory. I want to play Devil Dinosaur. That's just a sure thing. And I was thinking I either play at our coming Ottawa Open. I was thinking either basically Tom's Devil Dinosaur pass team, but no War Wheel anymore because you can just TK Devil Dinosaur. So I can just throw in a Maridroid instead for the exact same number of points, and I can Zatara him up to an 11 attack. Because not that he needs to hit anyway, but if he can hit, that just seems like a pretty cool thing to do. Or Devil Dinosaur, 2 Carnages, Kite Man, Penguin, Earth X Cap, Kite Man both to carry, and because you can do the stupid trick of
the Batman enemy rollout.
Yeah, you do the free Penguin move trick.
Yeah.
So, yeah, every single turn, free move Penguins, roll leadership with Cap. If they, I don't care. You don't care about Shredders at that point because that activates retaliation. You get more delicious pogs. I just wish it turned the round table because or the teleport, because that would just be too good.
You can also, post-rotation, think about some crazy shenanigans with the Gotham City Underworld and Harley Quinn, so that she not only have a battery, but you're also pushing penguins out, and she's ganging up tokens to be carried by Kiteman and then flurry people to death. There are some potentials there, especially in Limited.
I could throw Title Harley on that team instead. Huh. That's not a bad idea. You
remember my tournament report, Jay, that I only won a game because they played Title Harley? So I'm going to recommend you don't play Title Harley.
That interferes with me because I had a Fringe article where I did recommend playing her. So,
I killed Title Harley so I could do the power action heal, and that's all I did for the remainder of the game. Because I was ahead on points. I couldn't do enough damage to get through it, and I had the tempo. Heal, over and over and over, and that's how I won. So,
at the very least, I have plenty of playtesting time, which is just not usual for me. So I'm going to test that. That team was just really good. 13 attack, Carnage, Retaliator. Why not? Yeah, that could be good. I think that's pretty much it before we go to user questions, because even after all the constructed opens, it's not so much that we really know what Modern's looking like.
I think that's the plan, right? I mean, thankfully, right? Who would have thought that so quickly, in just a couple sets, it would be in a point where, things are undecided. Not only because you're going to have rotation, but because currently with what you have, especially. Granted, X-Men still need some time to settle in, but that we're having this discussion on what exactly that we need to do, right? I mean, that's the healthiest way to do, and it will demand for you to join more of a community, showing up more for games, knowing more what people are playing, making all sort of information more relevant, as opposed to let's just spend a lot of money on Unimind and hope we get lucky.
Yeah, that's not a fun meta at all.
Yeah.
Oh, I have 21 defense constantly, and you have less attack, and you can't increase your attack, so good luck.
We were at the ROC World Cup, and of course, thank God there are people like to think outside the box. But even the guys playing Unimind, I was one, so I take the blame. Even the guys playing Unimind were like, okay, another Unimind team. It was boring, honestly. It's safe. It was a super strong team at the time, but it was boring because it was mirror matches all the time, and the way to play is also very boring, and you're not giving a lot of interaction to your opponent. It's just really, I'm just gonna capitalize in every opportunity I have to steal some points, and if you're lucky enough to come to me, then it's gonna be the end of you. So it's boring. I mean, honestly, it's really, really unpleasant. Thank God the community is great, so you end up having a good time anyway because you have fun with your opponent and you make fun of the game. But the game itself gets stale and boring super quick. Oh God, sorry. Now, not now, but beforehand with Unimind.
I mean, to be fair, the less your opponent gets to play, the better chance you have to win. It's just, that's just good strategy. I feel like the more things my opponent gets to do, the more things they can do against me. Except for the PJ philosophy that the more decisions they can make, the more they can screw up. So
when you always crit hit and your opponent always crit misses, the more actions they get, give them your leadership. Let them roll an extra crit miss and win.
Yeah, as long as you have a 1 on your Trelane, yeah, sure. Because obviously, since Beta Ray Bill is the post-rotation play, obviously, and he shares Cosmic with Trelane, that's just,
And
what
else is Cosmic?
And Lockjaw.
What? And you know what else?
Floor Colossus. Yeah! Oh.
It's in Heroclix.
Mastermind. Oh, yeah, have Watch on Mastermind onto them, just because.
Yeah, because why not? It's like he's peeing on the tree. He's being a dog.
Wow, that's very specific, and you totally... That was well thought out, or you just happened to think of it.
Right? I've been waiting on that one.
Oh, okay. Now that we've gone full circle and talked about Lockjaw peeing on things, despite the fact that he's literally missing his back half, does anybody have any particular topics before we shift over into the fan questions?
I think do you guys want to cover real quick? Maybe PJ the ruling. It's a super quick, nothing crazy about Darwin.
What about Darwin?
Not the figure. The figure already discussed, which is
the ruling where you're talking about if like with Unimind. Actually, I think the specific example is Superman enemy team ability. If you're using something else that grants a standard power, it doesn't trigger the pick a power pieces, the anti-pick a power pieces. So if you're just using an effect that happens to give you a standard power, none of those will activate. So like one big discussion in one of the groups was somebody said, well, Unimind's dead because it stops perplex. Well, no, because you're not choosing perplex. You're just dropping power cosmic and you gain perplex. It's the same concept as Superman enemy. You activate Superman enemy team ability, gain the use of outwit. So that ruling is in the win specifically about Superman enemy. So
it's only if the power says choose a power.
Yeah, that's pretty much what they're going with.
Cool. So something like Surge, where she can just pick between 2 powers and still pick a power, but anything where it's specifically granted. Makes sense.
Yeah, because Darwin says, choose different standard powers or between standard powers or something?
They did specify to add if you have the choice between like the flight symbol or charge, you take the unavoidable no matter what you pick. So if you pick flight...
There's no baseline.
Yeah. If you pick flight, you still have the option to choose a standard power. Therefore, you take the unavoidable damage.
You made a choice where you could choose a standard power. Therefore, you check the boxes and you take
I think that's the logical way to do it.
Yeah.
It's like you have Brainiac on one of his clicks. He has either sidestep or the special damage power. And because you can pick Sideswipe as one of those, that also counts, that sort of thing.
Exactly.
As long as it's between at least one standard power and another option. So, yeah. I mean, not that there's really not that many of those kind of powers, because Surge isn't quite competitive, unfortunately.
That's what I see. Many conundrums of that nature happening in real life.
Yeah, that's only relevant for X-Men Sealed.
I mean, it did come up. I had Darwin and was playing against Surge at one point, but yeah.
Random rock age interaction. Their entity, not entity itself, the White Lantern entity, on click 4, 8, and 11, would not take the unavoidable if you picked the defense power.
Yeah, because you literally only have the special power, nothing
power
standard.
Yeah.
So that's something to keep in mind if you're worried about Darwin and you're playing at a rock age event like Pat's event, and you have something that maybe starts on click 4, 8, or 11. It's definitely not good, but it's.
What does that, I was about to ask, what does that defense power do?
It's region and quintessence.
Okay.
So
yeah, potentially useful.
It's 25 points for quintessence, and you can pick it without taking the unavoidable, and you get +1 to a combat value, which is probably range. Because
does Goblin King start on click 4? 175, or is it click 3?
It might be 4. I can't remember.
Yeah, there you go.
So then you're basically giving him his power cosmic that they took away back.
So you're making Goblin King great again. Okay.
Yeah, you get quintessence and +1 range for 25 points on Goblin King. There you go. You're welcome. Built your entire Rock Age team for you.
Okay. All that silliness aside, we are going to move into Facebook questions first, and then we are going to go into YouTube, and I guess we have Discord too, although I'm not even sure if there are any, but we will open up Discord and see regardless. Just need to open the questions post again because I, for some reason, closed it, despite thinking that I had it open. And I'm just going to go on the order it shows up. I'm not going to go based on time because it barely matters. Just 1 second. So well prepared. We start off with the magical stamp man who provided me with the actual stamp, and I will get that ink. I will get that ink one of these days. His question is, I'm curious how PJ and Matty G played with the Beta Samcap team. What were your tougher matchups? Are there any maps you did not want to play on? And then there are sub questions, so I'll just have PJ answered that first.
So to start, absolutely love the team. Absolutely think it's a meta contender and even has potential post rotation. I'm looking at dropping General Lane, adding Prodigy and a Carnage, or Leech and a Carnage, whichever, because Leech would probably be better because you can make sure they don't have Hypersonic to punch your team. But the team played great, and I'm really looking forward to playing it more. Bad matchups, there really weren't any glaring problems that I had. I didn't get to play the Unimind matchup because me and KJ didn't play our game, but it was one I felt I was prepared for. I know Matt lost to Dan's Unimind build in Swiss, but it ended up winning the whole event. Map wise, there was nothing that I cared about.
Would the ship be a hindrance for you, or not really?
Ooh, which one?
The ship, the cargo ship.
Oh no, there was no map that I couldn't reach every square of. Like some of them are worse for Hawkeye, obviously, like WizKids Offense and stuff. But there was no map that I couldn't get to every square. So I did a long map evaluation the night before. I just laid out every map and counted the squares in my pathing. Yeah, just to see how everything lined up. And yeah, there was no map that I found. I mean, there's some that I don't own where there was a square that I couldn't reach with something.
Mm-hmm.
So and still be relatively safe.
Yeah.
Wow.
So Yeah, would definitely playing that team.
He goes on to say, for everyone else on the lab, would you keep General Lane on the team or switch up the 40 points for something else? I mean, personally, there's no way. He's just too good.
Yeah.
I mean, not that his special leadership matters anymore, but I mean, just all of the enhancement and the PD and all the outwit and just outwit is so good now. How could you not want to play it? But
without the leadership, the team doesn't work. So it has to have a leadership. Because you create the POG, you pilot it is one action, move is 2, call in is 3, attack with the call in is 4.
Yeah.
So your turn 1 is very reliant on the leadership.
And other than him for 40 points, there's like Hellion from the new set, who obviously does nowhere near as much, especially after being carried. He does literally nothing. I can't think of much else.
Moira.
Yeah, technically Moira.
Yeah. Jokes aside, if you real boy, if you better suit Nick in, then you can clear Nick.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. I did that.
Yeah.
Love it.
Absolutely true. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I'm guessing. Exactly. You wouldn't miss that.
Yeah.
It's not coincidence. Oh, and see, by all means, I can clear him. How lucky.
Yeah. Oh, weird. It's almost like I knew that would work.
Exactly. It's almost as if I did it on purpose to maybe win the game.
Yeah, so basically we all like General Lane. Anybody want to get rid of General Lane for some reason besides literally retirement?
No, he's good. If you have a chance, if you have an effective meta team that can use him, go for it. Definitely.
Okay, moving on to the next. He also says wants to give fellow MetaLab fan Mike Backley a shout out for winning the Sealed Open, and he made our wonderful MetaLab logo dice, which I believe were the ones that I used on in Erie.
You did against me, at least.
Yeah, I used the same dice the whole time. I had the MetaLab shirt, that intimidation factor, which didn't end up happening at all. Next question is the aforementioned Mike. Hello there, MetaLab members. After an unforgettable weekend at the WKO at Checkmate Games and Hobbies in Toledo, I came in first place. It was an amazing time seeing friends from all over the Midwest. After seeing people's opinion that Lockjaw is going to be a must support figure, I have a question. Do you feel that exclusive prizes should be more readily available or accessible to all players? I feel with exclusive figures that could define the meta to only be available to a limited amount of people hurts the game. Keep on being awesome. Peace. An incredibly good question, and I feel like to start off, we have to go with the person from the place where Clixed is least available in general. So, Pedro, what are your thoughts?
Man, I think the key to his answer is already in what he said. It bothers me a little bit when they have a lot of meta potential for many reasons, because it's already hard for other people to have access to. So there's a competitive advantage I don't think there's necessarily intended. You already have the complication that primes and chases usually, please don't quote me on that for everything, but usually have their smaller or better power creep there. Doing a lead just makes things like extremely more complicated. I've seen posts on eBay for $250, $275 for Lockjaw. Man, he's crazy piece. There are questions on him. We're definitely going to talk about him tonight a little bit. But yeah, I think that particular point, I'm not. For instance, the Spirit of Vengeance. If you like the sculpt, if you want to play it for fun, that's great, because then you decide to spend the money or not, and it's not going to influence your team building to play him, to be honest, and that's your call. Great, but the moment it is only a prize figure and it has a lot of meta potential, that can be complicated, because not even WizKids is profiting from it, right? I mean, put this to sell. If it's 275, sell them for 200, and you're making a case out of a single figure. Why bother printing a full case, a full set, when you can make LEs that are worth that much? So I think the meta is the issue and not the availability of Conelese. Because if they were only for casual or didn't have that much meta potential, they would be priced completely different, in my humble view.
You reminded me of when White Rabbit, the first Ultra Chase, was announced or whatever. WizKids was very explicit that she was not going to be competitive, which I feel was absolutely a true statement. And the fact that she was just that rare. but wasn't competitive was a good thing. Same with the Deadpool. Like, he's wanted. It's a great sculpt. It's Deadpool. He's going to be wanted, but he's not at all competitive.
Yep.
Whereas, I mean, I don't know how many Deadpools there are, but I mean, you can make a pretty accurate guess at how many Lockjaws there are available. I mean, some stores are only getting one kit. Yeah. Some are lucky to get two. So it seems how many you can look up the map. You can see how many opens there are.
Yep.
See,
exactly.
Yeah. And
so
what's the number going to be? Like 100 or less in the world?
Yeah.
And how many people are going to be playing at Worlds? Like that, I would imagine. More. I mean, how many? I guess PJ, do you happen to know how many people were playing at Worlds this year?
Just barely under 100, I think. Was it like 98? Maybe.
But even then,
the nationals number. I've been doing a bunch of math on it, like the number of nationals invites this year compared to last year. So like that number is just firmly embedded in my brain. So
nationals was way more than that, right?
No, nationals was 94.
Because I guess a lot of people just didn't show up. But like,
yeah, there were plenty of qualifications that went out. There just were attendance-wise it wasn't.
Right. So you're looking at, let's say there's 100 Lockjaws in the world. Like, some of those are going to be in remote places. Like, we know Brazil has an open somehow.
We're
like,
doing
not
our
everybody.
best.
If Lockjaw is a must play, not everybody can get it, no matter how hard they try. Like, if Lockjaw doesn't end up coming out some other way, nobody's going to sell him. You can't. Unless you're.
Let's say that they make top 16. Let's say, I know it's an exaggeration. I'm not betting that's going to be the case, although it's not impossible. Let's say that a World's top 32 or top 16 do have Lockjaw. Wouldn't you say that, maybe the odds would be different, or only people that got it had a real chance? Because if it's any other piece that you can just keep on buying bricks until you're lucky, then it's your problem how much you invest in the game, because it's a free chance for anyone. Might be harder or easier depending on the luck. But if it's only the LE, then you're making the game, you're professionalizing a game where, to be honest, this is not yet. Stop flaunting it. It's not a game that you have many. You don't make a lot of money in Heroclix to spend a lot of money in it. Dude, if I win I'm coming back to the show. Just to show it. If not, I'm fine.
This is one
you're always welcome. Don't worry about it. But yeah.
Very much.
It's also it's worth pointing out that last year with the cons that were only released in Canada before Nationals or Worlds or something, WizKids held that same position, that they were too rare and couldn't be played in meta because they'd only been available in a very limited area.
Yeah, I couldn't play Doomsday at Worlds. Oh,
not that anyone would try to, but still.
Yeah, but PJ himself, correct me if I'm wrong, you pulled some crazy shenanigans with Jack Frost, right? You could almost one-shot Jaquin with the tank, right?
Yep. Jack Frost was phenomenal with the tank. I made top 8 at a WKO, and I only lost to Adam Friedman because dice. Like, it literally, our matchup was whoever went first was probably going to win. Because he won map roll, and that's just, we pretty much accepted the game. We talked about our matchup extensively before it, and if I got to go first, I would have killed his Batsuits robot before he ever got to move, because that's what I called in Nick and tanked it for 8 or whatever, because why not? From across the map, because you can just do that.
Can you imagine if it became a staple and everybody had to have one? It was even harder, right? So that's a miss. With all due respect, that's a miss. You shouldn't want to prevent people from coming into competitive, because there's a barrier to entry that is people making money on the side due to availability of your own piece. You don't want to shoot your feet at it. It's a self-inflicted wound, if you ask me.
This discussion kind of reminds me of Jason's most recent Metafix, where he's talking about how this is not a money-making game.
Yep.
And that whole philosophy kind of ties into this, where I have a Lockjaw. I know I could sell it and make some money, but then I know I'm never going to get it back again. And despite profiting, I'm not going to be able to do as well because I won't have the figure. And it's just so counterintuitive to the environment we have right now, where there's no piece that you can really not get. Like, even chases, 1 per case. Yeah, even if they're one per case, 1/8 chance of getting it, whatnot. I mean, if you have enough money, you could buy it. But I could sell Lockjaw for 300 American right now, but I don't want to because I know there's a chance I might never get it back.
Yeah.
So it's kind of impossible to get unless you win or happen to judge at a venue where there's more than one kit like I did, or like if people aren't going to sell for 300, what are they going to sell for? And then what are you going to like, nobody's going to go much higher than that, even if they're that desperate to win. So yeah, not the best. I hope Lockjaw comes out some other way as well.
Yeah, and to me, to not to make it to overextend, just super quick, it's a matter of philosophy. Do you want to, in your World Championship, say that everybody had the same chance to win? Because I know that competitive guys that don't want to be a kiss ass, but Patrick Upoko, PJ, and many others, they don't want to beat you at your worst game. They want to beat you at your better game. They're not afraid of your best game. On the contrary, just make their victory much better, much sweeter, much more deserved. To be able to say, well, I'm playing a B team that's considerably worse because you couldn't afford or have access to a piece that would actually make this match a real challenge. I know what's the especially for an accomplished player that won everything, why would you really want that extra win from a guy that had the skills and the chance but missed the piece? PJ, correct me if I'm wrong, please.
Let Devin go first.
Devin?
I don't have much else to say about this. Yeah, I think that the competitive pieces should be at least available. Not necessarily, they don't have to be cheap, but make it possible to get them.
PJ?
So I have a completely differing opinion on this. First, I want to state, as long as they stay as support pieces that are meta, I'm fine with it. If you start releasing 175-point tent poles that pick 3 powers and do, pre-release zombie super scroll as a WKO prop, and, that's probably not okay. But as long as it's a support piece, like if you can TK a little better than me, I'm not that worried about it. But this isn't better for WizKids, but having prices like this is better for stores, which means inherently they're going to have more kits sold, which means they're going to have more players in stores, which means they're going to sell more product, which in the long run will work its way around. When Shadowcat was the prize, nobody gave a crap. But now that we have a good prize, everybody wants to go to these WKOs for their chance to win a Lockjaw. So when stores are seeing more attendance, that's good. Like they need to drive more people to play in tournaments. Otherwise, the game's going to die. And I think releasing figures like this, and then after Worlds, release them as purchasables for 15 or whatever. But let them roll for a year of you had to win it to get it. And then the next year, let collectors pick them up to get them to finish their collections. Yeah. But I think you should be rewarding the players who are going out and winning events because, and I'm not trying to say that because I win events. Like, even if I did, I wouldn't be upset at like Pedro if he won an event and had a better piece than me because he went out and he earned that. He was willing to travel. He's willing to pay the money. He's willing to put in the effort, the practice, the time to earn that piece. It's not unheard of for other games to have stuff like that. Like Yu-Gi-Oh did it. Like they were the biggest ones about it. You're looking at like in the beginning there was Cyberstein was a $5,000 card that was completely broken. So like the 3 people that had it in the world
went for finals.
So, but the people who had it either paid the money or put in all the trouble to earn it. So, I think as long as it's something that's not completely game defining, I am completely fine with it being a very good piece because Lockjaw is by no means broken. It's just a very durable support piece. And I don't think I would ever sit down at a table and be like that I lost because they had Lockjaw. Now, granted, they can get some good luck and like roll the 2 and have picked running shot that turn. So now they're like running shot pulse fade for 3 with a 75-point piece. Okay, that's good, but it's also random.
Yeah.
So, I completely support having tournament viable pieces as the prizing. I'd rather see it if like the top 8 prize was a little more playable. Like when we saw Forge, when we thought Forge was going to get an ID, everybody was up in arms and excited about Forge. He was like the top 4 prize. And like, so there's plenty of him in circulation, and nobody was complaining about him being restricted, even though I think we'll have not really a comparable number, but I think we have more this round than we did last round. So, I mean, we're looking, like you said, at 100 lockjaws, there's probably like 250 to 300 forges, which still isn't that big of a number. When you talk about like collectors buying them up and stuff, if Forge were to get an ID, would we be having the same discussion?
Yeah.
I don't think we would be. So I think it's just because it's a championship piece. And, but I don't know. I think it absolutely should be one of the top pieces, but keep it support.
No, I agree with you. Maybe they could do a midterm and say, do the prizes at right afterwards, Worlds, the first WKOs afterwards, do it, have the store have their way, maybe sell through the stores, and just right before Worlds so everybody has a chance at Worlds, because then everybody win. You can win every competition with your hard-earned prize, and by the end of the year, when everybody meets together, nobody feels kept. But I see your point completely, and I definitely think stores need support. Help the store sell it afterwards. Why have to be through WizKids? You know, that will also, you know, have rewards program, whatever. Think outside the box. But I agree with you. There's the matter of merit and making the stores viable, which is super important, of course. And it's not an online game.
WizKids is taking a lot of strides for Heroclix. Because if you look this time 2 years ago, your only tournaments were ROC events and major like Nationals, Worlds, and stuff like that. WKOs weren't a thing. So they're adding more stuff, giving you more things to attend, and they're changing up the pricing. I mean, I much preferred it when it was Chase Prime kits or Gen Con when it was factory sets. But, you know, I think having exclusive pricing for these events to draw attendance is a good way to do it. Because, like, I mean, this kit's $50, I think, for a store, 40 or $50. And, like, if you look at the one in South Bend, that's the 21 people showed up. So that's, you know, $210. So they over quadrupled their money for the kit because there was a piece that was worth playing for.
Yeah. Let's hope they don't decide to sell it to 50 because it's more money than the thing. So people give a big watch at people not messing up the rules.
Yeah, that is always a concern. I hope WizKids watches closely. 80 stores that sell the lockjaw for more than what they expect to get in attendance. And it's not unheard of in local.
Everybody loses. It's the perfect scenario, bad scenario. Everybody loses.
Yep.
As long as... Sorry, what?
I said, except the person who sold it.
Well, not if WizKids catch them, but I agree with you. If it goes unpunished, yeah.
I think basically, as long as Lockjaw comes out some other way, not necessarily even before Worlds, but just in general, it's, you know.
I mean, I collect them.
Like
Patrick,
it was.
Yeah.
What?
I'm saying I'm gonna show later because Patrick asked, but I collect them. So for me, it's really hard. So I do have ever since Spider-Man came out, everything. But it's hard, you know. Thank God I went to the last WKO, managed to get the pieces. But this one, if I don't get this one in Brazil, it's a lot harder to get a plane ticket to the US to play there just for funsies. So, you know, although I'll be there end of April, beginning of May. If you guys know of anything, let's set something up. But it's hard. But I agree. I think it's like everything in the world, it's moderation. So. PJ broke.
Oh.
I deleted it.
Okay.
Anybody
I didn't even know you were able to do that. Moving on. Nick Miller. Damn it. 3 questions for Mick Miller on Facebook. How much Lockjaw did you see? Do you think any of the prize pieces will see constructed, and why? do you think this is a sign that WizKids no longer hates Pick-a-Power, or were these designs before the change of stance? Devin?
Nobody saw any Lockjaw. It's not tournament legal yet. Death's Head might. PJ thinks it will.
The question. It was how many leech Jay just
Yeah, how many leeches,
Oh.
and then do you think the prizes will see constructed?
That makes more sense. Yeah, leeches. I didn't play constructed, but I think PJ said there was like 2 total or something. Sorry, what was the rest of the question?
We're gonna see the other LEs or prizes showing up in construct.
And there was one more part.
Yeah, and do you think this is a sign that WizKids no longer hates Pick-a-Power, or were these designed before the change of stance?
Right. I don't know that WizKids had a change of stance on Pick-a-Power. I wouldn't say that. I think that they realized that their Pick-a-Power pieces that they had made in the past were dominating the meta and needed to be reined in a little bit. But I don't know if that qualifies as a change in stance. I don't think that it ever meant that they were going to stop making Pick-a-Power pieces. So I would expect to continue seeing reasonably similar pieces, even though we now have Darwin and Leech and Prodigy and people to balance them a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, all the Harley chases shut down a different thing, but we still see healing, even though we have Flash God. Yeah. And we had Kid Zoom, but Hypersonic is still a standard power that exists. So it's not like we're never going to see them again. PJ?
2 leeches in 2 events. I think Lockjaw and Death's Head will both see constructed play. Lockjaw we'll touch on more later because there's another question about it, so I'll just hold that. Death's Head, just because not only is he good values, but he has a lot of functionality, has a lot of interesting interactions with other pieces that are good in the game right now. And the sign about Pick-a-Power, this is exactly what I thought was going to happen when they released anti-Pick-a-Power pieces. They would just start making a whole lot more Pick-a-Power pieces.
Yeah.
They have an excuse. It's like, well, there's counters to it, so it's not that broken.
Yeah.
Like, you can just make like 4 every set and it's whatever. Because, I mean, X-Men has 4, yeah, technically.
Husk,
Sync. Husk, Sync.
Darwin.
Darwin.
No, he's talking about Darwin picks, yeah.
Yeah, and Surge Tech picks.
Yeah, see, there's probably other ones that I'm just not thinking of, but yeah, there's pick, like, they're not great, but they can just keep adding little stuff like that into just every set now, and nobody can really complain because we have counters.
Yeah, I mean, then again, Mandarin is okay. I mean, he's like, I feel like he's Shaquem, but worse overall. But yeah, I don't think any of the Pick-a-Power characters in X-Men would have been a problem before the counters, really.
Oh, I don't disagree with that at all. I just
Sync.
I'm just saying they can do that now,
or either of the LEs that have Pick-a-Power.
Well, 3 out of 4 have Pick-a-Power.
Okay, 3.
Yeah, sorry, I wasn't counting the Lockjaw because he's obviously still good.
Let's see, roll a 6.
Yes, exactly.
Oh. Poor Lockjaw. Pedro?
Yeah, I agree. Maybe on a alternative team you might see Shadowcat being called in just to deal with barriers. Although I think it's very unlikely, so definitely not going to be mainstream. But it's just to give it, not to say that it's not covered. And I agree with PJ that I personally believe it's healthy for the game to have good stuff and counter. That's how how variety works. You can now we can't say that WizKids never done anything against ID cards because there's booster gold from the OP kit. Granted, it's not going to be nobody's losing sleep over your opponent bringing booster gold on the other side, but they done it. Maybe it's the beginning of everything. I'm willing to bet Avengers Infinity will have something against Retaliators as well, because retaliation is a thing and it's getting better and better. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's a piece there that prevents or punishes somehow or counters in any way retaliation. So I think it's healthy for the game to have good stuff and counters. That's what actually make you longer or later at night not knowing what to build for your team.
They need a piece that says whenever a piece is placed, it takes 1 unavoidable after actions resolve.
Before immediately, not only after action, make it
Let
before
'em-
that.
let 'em
After
just-
the placement action resolves.
No, let them get their attack, and then they just explode.
Okay, then good. You're too kind.
So you can never use TK unless,
Unless you want to eat that unavoidable.
yeah.
And poor super rare magic.
Technically, carry is a placement now, so couldn't even carry.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's true.
So you
Oh,
hard
make it
counter
right.
wait. So you hard counter Sam Cap, Overdrive, TK, Alligator. So what can you do? You can just move characters normally now.
Yes, you have to walk.
Make it
Would
up.
would that mean that all your call-ins will be active on click 2, so you can plan for that?
Yeah. All IDs would come in on.
Who's a really good
Oh,
click 2
I-
character?
We can definitely make a show only of characters we would totally call in. Make it a Nighthawk Prime, make it a Prime, and that's it. We're calling it with kids, we're making this Prime. Whatever placement, whenever placement happens, deal unavoidable damage.
That'll be my
And make it be to your team too, so you can build.
Exactly, no, whatever. It's across the board. Exactly, it's for everyone, so no, everybody suffers from it.
But then
And
you
now
have to plan on if your opponent brings one as well. What call-ins are also good on click 3?
That's a good point.
That's awesome.
Well, you can do it. You can do it
possibly.
once per round. It can be a unique modifier.
Sure,
Then you don't
sure.
have to handle it. Or not unique modifier, but a unique effect
If
per
they haven't
round.
been damaged by this trait this turn.
Exactly, brilliant.
Yeah,
You
something
see?
like that.
Yeah. I'm doing
all
that.
those poor
That'd be my
pog
role.
generators.
Okay. Well, next,
Yeah, that's true. Devil Dinosaur, all his pogs just die instantly.
exactly. Next prize, Ellie. Harley Quinn is dead. The Penguin's dead.
Oh.
But at least all new Wolverine can still bring in Jonathan because he can die once and stay around.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, Hella, if you can get the right guys in, Hella can make Warrior Souls from the get-go, right? And Death can keep clearing. It's gonna be amazing.
Well, you could make warrior souls, but then they would just die.
Exactly.
Bond and warriors with
That's
black
true.
don't always die.
You can't make
Well-
Warrior Souls from Warrior Souls, right?
It's
Yeah,
gonna be
'cause
great.
it has to be a non-bystander.
Okay,
Otherwise,
that's
it would be
what I
an infinite loop.
Does
Exactly.
Does Black and Red Harley heals on any death, or it has to be a standard character death?
I think it's just any character. If I recall.
That would
I
also
think
be
same for Godflash, right?
Oh my god. I
Okay,
remember
back
that
to
one.
the schedule. Otherwise, we have a
Okay.
sideshow.
Yeah, let's spend another 20 minutes talking about a piece that doesn't exist.
Okay.
Building team. Our next Meta Lab, the team to face a team that has the super crazy prime.
No. Next Metal Lab, everybody make a team, but one of your characters has to be one that you just made up yourself.
To counter the one we made up on the show.
It's specifically it's somebody who carries but says that the other characters move along with you but don't get action tokens.
Old school carry.
So
Anyway,
I'm going
let's move on to the next question.
to design a hard counter to Garrock because obvious.
Can you imagine if to make peace more powerful, hypersonic, but the old way?
Oh,
Or
God.
carry, old school. Props, but for Rios.
Oh, man.
This has to stop. Of course, the next question is a silly one. Lucas Tom Van Hollen asks, when am I going to finally be able to pet PJ's beard? The opportunity escaped me in Kokomo. I shall not miss it again. Pedro, what are your feelings on this issue?
I think, well, I didn't have the chance when I met him personally, but I think I was a little bit shy. That's something I plan on not have that happening again. But I think he will let it if you do it gently, right, PJ? With
That's
care
right.
and
That'd be
respect.
I don't know. You weren't supposed to ask him his opinion on this matter. I was going to skip him entirely.
Well, if it's under U.S. soil, that's pretty much assault. So I have to be careful, right? Without consent, that could be really
You have
problematic.
to lure him out of the US first.
Exactly. Come to WKO in Brazil, PJ. We'll make
There's
it
no
friendly.
stand your ground law or whatever. You can't just shoot him. Okay. Oh, welcome to the silly lab where nothing matters.
Questions that matter and the points are not for constructed.
Okay, time for an actual question. Two-part question. Zach Strong, favorite character and favorite Clixed version of them. And second question, I will just do after because doing multiple part questions doesn't work. Devin.
Wow, you definitely don't know my answer to this question. My favorite character is Emma Frost, and my favorite Clixed version is probably the new Super Rare Prime. I think a lot of older Emma Frosts just don't have any offensive potential, which is a little weird because she really should. Although no diamond form is always interesting. Although obviously the version that they made, the Generation X Headmaster, that was not a thing yet, that first existed in New X-Men in 2001.
Stop knowing comics in the middle. It was weird because you played against that Emma yesterday.
And I killed her mercilessly.
I was really sure you weren't going to win that game.
I know you were.
I mean, come on. To move on to actual Pedro, what is your favorite character and favorite version of them?
Sorry, I'm back.
Oh, what's your favorite character and favorite version of that character?
Ever or for the X-Men set?
Just your favorite character. The question is favorite character and favorite Clixed version of them. So it could be Golden, but now that we have Rock Age, that is more valid to say.
Doom, Iron Doom, period. Broken, awesome. I love Doctor Doom. And from the set, the Magneto Realist. Love it. A lot of potential. Yeah, if he dies, it's scary, but you can do a lot with him before he dies.
As much as I want to agree with your opinion, Iron Doom is still technically Tony Stark. If you actually read the story, I'm sorry.
True. I'm not that knowledgeable. Come on.
No, you didn't read a Random Exiles comic where he existed for 3 issues? No.
You gotta love when they make characters that just basically don't even exist in the comics.
PJ?
My answer kind of sucks because my favorite character only has one Clixed version. So, and my favorite is Dexstar. So
Nice.
I'm a cat person and I like Dexstar. So deal with it. Only the War of Light version.
He is awesome.
I don't like answering this question because I am still not satisfied by any Alan Scott they've made.
What?
Like I can't say KC because he's kind of designed around a mechanic that doesn't make sense because like the JSA wasn't really a thing in Kingdom Come, but he gets to share that 20 defense. So, but do I say the 35-point version who's kind of weak? No. Do I say the 10th version who sucks? No. 71st version sucks. I guess the super rare is the most functional, while also just being a normal non-Elseworldsy version. So I guess just him in general. And at the very least, he has range 10 and 3, so his stats as far as offenses go are reasonable. I don't know. He's whatever. Follow-up or second part of that question, or second question. What is your mindset when you build a team and bomb with it? Do you try and refine it and take it to another event, or scrap it and start over? If it's me, I just keep on doing it anyways because I'm dumb. And because at this point I try and balance competitive with still playing characters that I like. Although I can't play Chair Joker anymore because Shredders just don't care about Mastermind, and it makes me sad and mad. And I'll be glad when they finally get watchlisted because it's going to happen eventually. At this point, they're just so good now.
Time.
Pedro?
What I usually do is if the team performs.
Uh-oh. We're losing him. I'm gonna. Uh-oh. So I guess PJ, bombing is when you don't do well in an event. So I'll give you a couple seconds to think on that one, and I'll get back to you.
No, sorry, it's the internet. The internet was coming and going. I'm sorry. So it's super quick. If the team performs as expected and something else made it bomb, I try to adapt to see if the team can cover and adapt to that something else. If the team fails at performing what I expected it to perform, then it's more likely to start over because then I couldn't achieve what I expected of the team. So basically, that's how I separate scratching from adapting. If it's something new I didn't expect or that happened, then I try to adapt to it. If it's something that if failed where I expected it to go well, then I'm likely rethinking it.
Devin?
I want to say that I scrap teams that don't do well and play totally different ones, but I don't do that, as evidenced by the fact that I played like 5 Mary Marvel Clarion teams in a row, and none of them made top 4. So, yeah, I guess I I tend to adjust minutely and try again.
So now that you've had a chance to think about hypothetically losing, PJ.
Yeah, if you ever bombed.
This isn't a good question for me. Not because I don't bomb that often, but because I scrap a team after I play with it. Period. Like I won with my Bill team. I probably won't play it again unless it's like Worlds. Like if that's what I want to play for Worlds, sure. But like another WKO or another Super Q, I'm always gonna play something different every time I go. Like 3 constructed WKOs this month, 3 different builds. Like it's just I don't like reusing teams or concepts. I mean, eventually I'll run out. But hypothetically, if a team bombs, I don't try to think about why it bombed. I usually just say, "Well, that sucks," and move on.
Bad for them.
Yep.
Why exactly do you not like to reuse teams? Just because it's boring, or
I don't know. I haven't. It's just kind of like a thing, I guess. I like to just keep playing different stuff, seeing what works, testing the waters with everything I possibly can. I feel like the 14 Florida team is coming very soon. So expect that at the upcoming event when Lockjaw's legal, because Cosmic theme and stuff.
wow,
Nice.
literally can't lose map roll. Wow.
Yeah.
I wish Mike Payne was here because you kind of reminded me of just like the way comedians work, where they just don't keep using the same material forever. At some point, you scrap it and you start again. But I guess your half-life or whatever with teams is just a little bit shorter, one and done. It's just each team is like a mini nuclear weapon. It goes off once.
There's only 2 teams that I've played at multiple events, and that was and won multiple events with, and that was my robots with my first 2 wins ever, and then the Mistress Death team. And the only reason I played it a second time was because I was too lazy to build anything else beside of it. They ran like a trial beside their Super Q, and it was already packed. Like I never unpacked it from the WKO before that, so I just took it and said, "Well, if I'm playing on the side event, I guess I'll just play this."
Wow.
So when I bought the main event, I played in the side event with that.
Nice. Whew. Next question. Michael Fedor, original patron. Has anyone gotten the chance to play the Nightshade, the Harlequin Super Rare? If you have, what do you think? Isn't she amazing? Quickly, since White is not here, he wanted to open with her. I played her in more casual stuff. She's very good. She can set up some pretty cool stuff. And now with TK's range being bumped down to 6, it's almost like, well, do I play TK? Or if I can make theme with her, do I just play her instead? Yeah, I don't. She definitely. I mean, oh yeah, that reminds me. The first thing I saw, or I thought when I saw her for the first time, is so I just play her with the Mistress Death team instead of Raven because she's just kind of differently good. So, yeah. PJ.
I like her. I think she's a very good piece. I think she fits well into a lot of things. But for the same reasons I hated on Mondo and Rock Slide, I don't like pieces that are dependent on terrain. Mm-hmm. So that's like why I would play Raven over her, because granted it's keyword reliant, but like you said, it needs to be with a theme so you can get hindering. Most maps have hindering, so it's not like you can't ever use her. So I don't know. I don't necessarily think she's awesome, like like Michael said, or amazing. But she's definitely good. And like if I sat down across from somebody playing one, I wouldn't just scoff at it and act like it can't do anything. So
Devin?
Very similar take. I've never played it. I've played against it when Mike White has played it, and it has always been extremely good. Moving for free is amazing. Moving other people is really good. She's hard to kill just because she has stealth and is constantly sitting and hindering. But yeah, if you're on a map with no hindering for her to jump to, she's not very good. Is it printed only that she can jump to?
I don't have H-Realms open right now, unfortunately.
I can give a quick look.
I'm gonna assume it is. If not, you could use free smoke cloud, I guess.
It's not printed. Yeah, it's just a square of hindering.
So you
No,
could
hindering
technically
terrain.
have free smoke cloud with her, but that requires you to invest some more points into a dust or something.
I mean,
Yeah.
Dust is just good.
Those
No,
space-
she has,
That's
but then
100
you're spending the action to kind of fake teleport because you do the,
Yeah.
the smoke cloud and then you benefit from it.
Yeah, like I mean, you could power act and smoke cloud, and
Yeah. Then
oh wait, no, it's power to bring somebody to you, so you couldn't even know. You could do it.
yeah, you can do it for her, but not bring anyone with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why you'd need somebody else to put the smoke cloud down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's-
then
it's also
just a
not
little too many
like-
points.
She's just. It's kind of funny because if she was a little more points, it would kind of be better because then she could do some really good call-ins. Like, at 50 points, I don't know what she's calling in. Like, if she was at
Super
least 60,
Cyclops, Super
Yeah.
Wolverine.
you're
Yeah.
not okay. That's true.
Uh,
That's true.
Magneto uncommon from UXM.
Who?
Uncommon Magneto. The
Free
guy
running shots,
deleting
yeah.
people with. I don't know.
Two attacks.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's okay. I guess.
Yeah, he's mediocre.
It's not like PJ used him at all.
I was trying to find a way to get him to take 2 damage. After I
So you can actually call safe.
We
Yeah.
got really close.
shoot a Mystic and sidestep him into the Bifrost. Within range to running shot them. I could running shot Pulse Wave. Okay.
Yeah, I was trying to do that, a similar thing with the Supergirl from World's Finest, figure out a way to give her an action token so she could charge and then Quake for free. But it was too difficult. Couldn't really do it. Didn't work.
Oh, how have we gone on this long? We had nothing. We have Michael Holt. Question, guys. What resource do you think should be introduced? I would like to see the Hall of Armor of Iron Man. Devin?
I don't love resources in general, so I'm going to say stop making them.
Whiskey seems to agree with you. Pedro?
I loved the Queen Jet. Granted, it's not specifically a resource, but I love since IDs are there. Anything to make them funnier, I guess. But I tend to think that with the new objects now, we have plenty. So I'm kind of leaning towards not many resources there. Let the game be on the table. But since IDs are here, might as well have a new Queen Jet or anything remotely similar to a teleporter.
PJ is actually muted this time. Good.
I want a set of power batteries again. Rework them or whatever, but I want something that you have 8 of or 10 of or 25 of. I don't care. I don't want them just to go back to one resource. I want something to create diversity. And like when you have just all the options to make stuff better, I want that. Like, because I mean, right now, like in the Possessor days and the original Power Battery days, there's so many pieces that like if it had this, it's better, and you could give it that for X amount of points. I want that again because I think there's plenty more pieces that would just be great if they had help.
It's interesting you mentioned the power batteries because if they were on map, I wouldn't mind as much because just having it's all the sideline stuff is just it's kind of annoying. Although I guess we're gravitating farther and farther away from that. But if they were going to make resources, it was easier to track of and be on the map. I wouldn't mind as much. But as far as specific resources go, I can't really think of anything off the top of my head right now. I am so exhausted after this past weekend. But I have you guys to cover for me, and I'm not doing the show alone. Matthew Ryan asks, what maps do you recommend for X-Men Sealed and why? I guess Devin would know decently well because he's played the most of it so far.
Yeah.
Yeah. First of all, hey, Matt. Too bad you couldn't make it. And the maps, always bring along Wakanda because it's a really good map, especially if you get Headmaster Wolverine because he ignores hindering and doesn't need to shoot. Also, the Star Trek map is really great for some teams if you are very close combat focused and don't want to get shot at, but don't ignore hindering. And WizKid's Office is always great, obviously, for all the walls. I personally really like Bank Heist because it's a nice mix of walls and open, but I know I'm the only one who really loves that map. So, not that one necessarily, but I like it.
Yeah. On top of that, I would say I liked using Sports Arena because very open, and there's actually a fair amount of hypersonic in the set between the Student, Surge,
Kid Gladiator.
Gladiator.
I'm sure there's at least one more, but also I guess it's good against the Professor X rare non-prime. You can't just hide behind walls and just be like, I don't care about the map. What do you mean? Why? What map? I'm just gonna do whatever I want. Pedro?
I think you guys covered nothing material. One very good one open space, one closed space. Check what your team is. If it's close combat oriented, go for the close one. If it's open, or you can have the guys that approach with stealth, and you're betting on all your opponents on having the few pieces they ignore hindering, go for it.
And PJ.
So my sealed recommendations, since you can bring an infinite number, you can bring every map before you see your build. So you should have an indoor open map. You should have an outdoor open map. Indoor restrictive, outdoor restrictive. You should have one map with plenty of hindering. So like you could use Wakanda, like Devin said, or you can use like the roller derby map that has the circle of hindering. So like with a distinct lack of flight in this set at low rarity slots, having a flyer means you can go to maps like this to outpace your opponent. And then just having that variety so you can customize what you need for your build is just incredible. Because like if you have the flyers and they don't, you want to put them on something with either a lot of hindering or a lot of elevation changes.
Yeah, Cape Gladiator really likes the roller derby.
Yeah. So anything like that, just bring a good variety of maps. Don't just pick your 3 before you show up. Pick them after you see what you're playing.
And also, yeah, if you have cargo ship, bring it in case you pull a Chase Iceman, because I don't think there's a better map for him.
Fair.
Outdoor, all that blocking. Is the Star Trek one is indoor, right?
Yes.
Yes.
I want to look at the Atlas after and see if there's actually a better option, but you know what? You're probably right.
I'll trust you.
Like Friendly Neighborhood would be really good for him too.
Yeah.
It's true.
Like that.
Approach hindering. Elevation from elevation.
Yeah, the only problem with Friendly Neighborhood compared to Cargo Ship is that in Cargo Ship you can block line of fire completely with an ice clone because you're in a 1 square wide thing, whereas you can't quite do that in Friendly Neighborhood.
Love the ice clones, man.
Yeah, because you already be suffering a lot for having to play a super bad piece like the Ice Clone Chase, right? So any help you can get from the map is useful.
If anybody at Batam had pulled it, there was no way that player would have won. It's impossible. Unheard of.
I'm making my own Iceman bystanders.
Nice.
I'm whiting out all the things that are irrelevant, and then I'm going to change the dial.
What you should, awesome. I disagree with your choice of Iceman because you're using the common who's actually decent. You should be using the uncommons.
I opened 5 cases of this set. What? And
I like your idea. I'm just saying the uncommon ones because they're awful.
This one looks better though.
You know what you could do? You can also use the Clanfoot ninjas. They are the invisible stealth thing, and then do ninja clones.
Ice ninja clones. That's of Naruto.
Because the only thing that can make ice clones better is to make them ninja.
Man, I gotta see if I have.
They do have shape change for some reason. That's pretty cool.
Who knows?
I trademarked it, PJ. Look for it later. You owe me.
That being said, that's it for Facebook. After my refresh, so we're gonna go to YouTube because we got literally nothing from the Discord this week. Let's start off. William Dickey. If there was a Heroclix YouTube channel dedicated to breaking down winning lists and exploring what makes pieces, meta or not, based on results for beginner players, could it be a thing? Interesting. PJ?
This is actually something I have talked to a couple of people about doing. Maybe partnering with Pat and doing it on Majestic's YouTube or doing my own channel. But it was something I was already in the thought process of doing, was just strictly team breakdowns for not necessarily the first place build from an event, but maybe the highest placing build that isn't the same thing. So something along those lines to kind of show why it may have won the event. Yeah, but to answer his question, yes, I do think it is something that people would watch and enjoy.
Pedro?
I totally think so. I missed the superhero showdowns from the Majestic channel so much, because not only they were breaking it down, they were putting one to face against the other, it with people of the highest level in the game. So totally, yeah. And the more the merrier. Not only one, two, but if everybody could do it, different perspective, the more info, the better. The game only benefits from it.
Devin?
Sounds like a great plan, but I'm not a huge Heroclix content creator or consumer in terms of video content, so I don't really have a very strong opinion on it.
He said, literally being on a show. Like,
yes.
you're on YouTube. I'm talking, but I'm superimposing your face over. You are on YouTube right now.
Second time in a row.
That is true.
Generated content from a game you don't care about.
This,
I'm quoting that.
Yes, that is exactly what I said. You're right. I don't care about Heroclix.
Next question. Matt G asks, for you guys and people who write articles about the tournaments you go to, do you write notes after each game or just remember everything offhand? Well, I've never had to write a tournament report, but my memory is pretty decent. I mean, that's like half of what I do in this game. I just know all the things. If I couldn't remember my matches, that'd be pretty bad. I just generally, yeah. I mean, writing notes would be smarter, but there's no time. There's no time to do all that effort and whatnot. I guess the next person to ask is PJ, obviously.
Yeah.
I have only taken notes once or twice, and that was in the beginning when I was first starting to write articles. Then I realized, I just remember all this stuff. A lot of the time, looking at my my build sheet from the event and seeing the names that I played will be enough to remember the entire game. So if it's a bigger event, like a regional or something like that, sometimes I'll start out taking notes and see how the day goes. Obviously, if I start losing, I stop taking notes because nobody wants to read articles like that. Usually not very many notes. Usually all off the top of my head.
Sorry. If you start doing what again?
If I start having opponents get good dice rolls.
Oh, there you go. Pedro, you've written at least one tournament report, right?
Oh, it's a few. Locally, much more because we do have our states and nationals. But I suck with names, so I definitely write down the names, and I usually just put the name and something to remind me of the team, because, like you guys said, I remember all the matches and I can tell them all, but I never remember the sequence or the guy I was playing with. So I'm very good with remembering the matches because I pay a lot of attention to it. But the accessory, I write it down a little bit, mainly names, a reminder of the team, and which order was the match, so I know how to place them in order.
Yeah, I love that the win just does that for me now. I don't have to remember anybody's name. Devin?
I have done that literally once for this show today. I didn't take notes during the event, but just before the show, I sat down and wrote down my opponent's names and teams so that I would remember during the show, because it did take me a second for some of them. But after I remember the person in the team, I also tended to remember the entire game.
William Dickey asks, question, do you think that a list can succeed in the current Modern with no ID cards or retaliators? Retaliators, yeah, but if you're saying neither, I feel like if you're not playing any ID cards, you're probably just at a huge disadvantage for no reason. Unless your team is like super awesome and is also exactly 300, like, well, Paris has been playing 300-point Unimind recently, right? She's been doing decently enough. Mm-hmm. That's Paris. I wouldn't advise that for the average person. Pedro?
Limited.
No, I agree. You hit what I was going to hit, so I won't take time because it's late. Maybe without retaliators, especially since you can have someone crazy like I don't know who, that could just play beta Captain Sam Wilson and just go there and Hawkeye all retaliators. So maybe definitely without retaliators, but without IDs. Currently, I don't think, especially with the hit, not major, but hit on pickup hours, it's hard to have a team that's that flexible that you have everything you need right there without the ID cards to cover you for it. So, and not to mention that the ID cards are a power spike back to a click one hit. You know, when you're whoever gets the alpha strike, you guys are on click 3, 4, or 5. You still can call someone on click 1 and give it back. So it's hard to fight from behind with a team that is good no matter what, even if it takes the first hit. So definitely not with our retaliators. IDs, unfortunately, in real super hard meta, I don't think so.
Sorry, PG, did you say that Paris was playing that in limited? That looks really stupid. Yeah, it's just so many results lately. It's hard to keep track sometimes. Yep. What are your thoughts?
No, don't do it.
There's no reason not to.
You put yourself at a disadvantage against people with ID cards and retaliators by not playing ID cards and retaliators. Like, the moment you don't have a way to go over and deal with Carnage is the way that he just wrecks your squad. Like, jumping in, making a plasticity piece is already really good, let alone the fact that they can do 9 damage in a perfect world. So, like, play them if you have them. Now, if you don't, do I think a team is unplayable without them? No, but you will be at a severe disadvantage from the get-go.
Devin?
That one. I don't have anything else to say about that.
Yeah, I don't see, unless you have like there's no 300-point one-man army. Like, there's nothing that you're playing that automatically precludes you from playing at least one ID card. Like, just why would you not throw a level 7 on there? I think PJ in your team list that you posted, you were just like, what did you say? It was like, if you have like a green arrow should just be on every team or something like that.
Yep. Every team should include a green arrow and a Hawkeye. If you have a piece, if you're playing something that's over or that's 80 points or more, you have to have a green arrow on it. If you're playing something that's 65 points or more, you have to have Hawkeye on it. Like, that's just unfortunately how the meta is. Like, those are the only 2 mandatory game elements, in my opinion.
Yep. The good news is that you can have any team that has it, but you're gonna have them.
Yeah. You're playing 290-point model.
Yeah. True. True.
We're living in a world where the best game elements are archers. What? This is such a weird game. Any more question? Majestic. Oh wow, Pat is asking: are the Shredders the new boogeyman? Also, 2018 will be the year of Beta Ray Bill. Well, so far, he's looking to be proven right. Devin, what do you think about Shredders?
They are very scary. Free damage is crit miss proof. There we go. That's all I have to say about that.
Oh, Pedro.
We discussed a little bit earlier. I think they are very good. I give you only the two answers, so we don't extend much. I think Battle is here to stay for sure, and we'll definitely in staying we'll have meta adapt to his existence. And Shredders, I think they are a team to beat, but they are not the team to beat. They're not something unbeatable. They're not something that need, in my humble opinion, to be errated. We shouldn't give in to play the team that wins the most or has the best placement and just unless we want to make a full new way to play, which is whoever team wins, the pieces are banned. That would be an awesome thing, because then you're playing commons at the end of the tourneys. But I don't think you should be worrying about that too much. If the piece is not really broken, fundamentally broken, they are a team to beat, but they are a team to beat like any other, like Doc Ox were, like Queen Jet was, and whatever, and many will come. So yeah, strong, super there, but beatable.
DJ?
Depends on exactly what he means by boogeyman. Is it that team that if you can't beat it, you shouldn't play it? Like, if you have a build that just can't beat Shredders, should you not play that at an event? Yes. I think you're going to play against Shredders more often than not. So if you're playing against something that is your worst matchup, you probably should not be playing it. If that's what he means by Boogeyman, yes. But I do not think it's necessarily the be-all, end-all team. It just does restrict you playing something that just loses to it, like which most Pog-based teams just get wrecked by Shredders inherently. So stuff like it does prevent certain builds. So, yeah.
Okay, next question, if there is one. Majestics, Pat, thanks again. How good is Lockjaw? I will be testing with it this week to see what teams to put him on. I mean, does anybody think Lockjaw is just not amazing? PJ?
Phenomenal piece. Me and Dan built a couple solid Cosmic Theme Team builds for post-rotation, like for Origins testing on our drive back that involved Lockjaw, and like he's going to be a force. I don't think he's going to be mandatory, but he is definitely going to be something that's worth playing and keeping. And yeah, I also realized I forgot to mention the last part of his first question, and absolutely 2018 will be the year Beta Ray Bill.
I mean, you're making it happen.
That's right.
Yeah.
Good for Pat.
Roy started.
I've been building with him for current constructed, and I hope I can put something together. But you've already proven that it's possible, so there you go. It is very possible. Pedro, I mean,
agree. No,
is Lockjaw not amazing? Do you want to be contrarian? Like,
not glow the flow, $250. Pat's playing with it. PJ's thinking about it. You're thinking about it. What else did you say about the piece? Everybody's already working their minds and gearing into it. That's your answer right there.
My only problem with your answer was the part where you took me into consideration. That was really weird. I don't know why you did that.
No, you show the ranges from really good players into us.
Ah, got you. I see what you did there. Yeah. Devin?
He's incredibly hard to kill and has offensive potential. So yeah, he's really, really good.
Yeah. It's gonna be interesting to see how much play Bill sees after you can't just I mean, there are certain call-ins you can still do across the map with Sam post rotation, but it's not as bad, I guess. So yeah, he should be able to live a little bit longer, especially because you can't just one-shot him with Green Arrow calling you with Enforce shenanigans. You have to actually just play Green Arrow. So yeah, it'll be fun to see if he can do some stuff. We have more questions. That is a good question. Question. Oh, there's a question. It's not all caps, but I saw it anyway. Does the Wolverine heal not get reduced from the stop click? I thought healing was reduced by 1. It is only support and regeneration. And you did answer it.
Yep.
But I had to verify because I'm a loser.
He asked it talking about using the Wolverine inspiration to heal off the stops.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. Just like the Defender's power from Doctor Strange and many other sources. If it's not support or regen, you're good.
Yeah, those powers specifically say in the text that they're reduced by 1 from stop clicks. It's not a general rule on healing in the rulebook.
Yeah, it's like the general rules confusion where people think that if you get a third action token, or would get a third action token, you automatically take the penetrating, which is only true for incapacitate. Sure, I'll answer this. Statement. What if UXM doesn't rotate? Do we know for sure it's gone? I don't know anybody that doesn't think it's going to go. Anybody here think it's not going to go?
Derek,
I would love it if it didn't, but it's going to.
Yeah, I mean, Derek.
I mean, of course, you were going to say that. Nobody years. Sorry, what?
Derek got second with Iceman 2 years ago. There's no way it stays. Like, it's been around for that many worlds, so like it.
Yep.
I'm just gonna miss with the Magneto chase.
Yep.
Well, you mean Magneto chase is? I am so looking forward to Wednesday to just see that in action. Go back to the questions.
Somebody asked a question, but didn't write question.
Oh, I think I missed that one.
It's asking about like if your locals never play competitive and they only play casual, Like, what do?
If they don't play competitive or they don't play casual.
Don't play competitive.
Roll 20 for playtesting.
Yep.
Any other ideas, PJ?
Actually, there are a couple people in Chicago, Nate White and his buddy Patrick. They take competitive builds to some events, and they will broadcast and say, if you beat us, we will buy you a booster. Or they'll buy a brick, and they say, for every time you beat one of us, you get a booster for it. And they're basically conning people into bringing the most competitive build they can think of to try to beat them while they're testing their competitive build. So it brings another level of competition, but it's out of their own pocket. So that's a way to do it if you're just like, vomiting money all the time. But it is hard. Like, I don't have anybody around me that plays competitively. So a lot of the time talking and theory crafting, putting stuff on the map by yourself and just rolling with it is enough to at least know what you need to do.
Cool. Pedro?
Yep, nothing to add there. Gonna pull Mike White here. I'll go with PJ.
That's always a good thing to do. Devin?
I don't have anything to add.
Yeah, we're almost in a similar situation. We have some players, but we don't get a lot of turnout. So
And we're all busy.
Yeah, if you want to play test, you really have to figure something out, unfortunately. But it's easier to do now than it was before, thanks to good old Roll20. Question that I'm just going to answer myself: top 5 student IDs. I mean, there's not even 5 good student IDs, so
that's the hard part.
Top 2 student IDs are only Wolverine and Leech.
I think there are exactly 5 good student IDs.
What are the 5 good ones?
Sprite,
Prodigy,
Sprite, all new Wolverine, Leech,
Prodigy maybe.
I like Jubilee ID a lot.
Okay.
And I like Rusty ID a lot.
Yeah.
What about Brew for the cheapest outwit? Yeah, that's not great.
It's okay, but I don't know of anything that's 25 points that you're using to call
Lila Cheney.
Calling with Lila, you're probably at a bad place in the game anyway.
Well, plus, wait, did you say with Lila?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're calling something in with Lila and you're not calling in either JSA Adam or Big Adam, what are you doing?
And they could have worded. I'm just looking they could have worded the special damage power from M a little better, so you don't check at the beginning of her turn. Because if she comes without Wit or Perplex, maybe you could consider her. But I don't think she does, because it's at the beginning of her turn. If then you can. So she doesn't arrive at the beginning of her turn.
She's SOL, as we say.
Yeah.
In short form. That was it. So I guess we just jump into the ad read, except PJ's adding more and more stuff and making me think there's more questions. Stop
there
it.
Is one more. There is another question.
Did I miss another one?
He just added it, right? Not too long ago. What's the best way to make your opponents feel uncomfortable at a WKO?
Oh, but he didn't even say the word question, period. That's why I didn't see it. That's a good question.
It's clearly to get naked. Like, if you're looking for your opponent to get uncomfortable, take off all your clothing. Right?
What if it wasn't a tactic that was illegal?
Take off most of your clothing. Confidence always makes people uncomfortable. So don't be arrogant, don't be cocky, don't be a jerk, but be confident. Be decisive in your moves, and don't sit there and question everything you're doing right in front of them and loudly. That inherently makes people uncomfortable. Another thing that makes people really uncomfortable, and I'm guilty of this, is they'll go to do something, and I'll be like, "Are you sure?"
Yeah, "Are you sure?" is awesome.
Their whole brain shuts down. Like,
it's awesome. His best play. Are you sure?
Yeah, it's clearly the best line of play.
Yeah, have you done? Are you done? I mean, you've done it, right? It's final.
And randomly reminding people of stuff when you can tell that they're thinking. So it's like I'll have like a symbiote on my Goblin King. They'll be sitting there thinking, oh, don't forget I have shape change on him. And then they're like, wait, did he know what I was thinking? I mean, if you hit that, if you thought of the fact and you nailed what they were thinking about, their brain is scrambled for the rest of the time. If you miss, they just think you're dumb, and that inherently makes them more comfortable. So, I mean, it's just the way it works.
My answer is ask that question again the next time we have Adam Cole on, because he is good at the mind games, to put it lightly. Devin, any random thoughts about this?
Well, apparently being really unconfident also makes your opponents uncomfortable. Yesterday, so my hands shake pretty much constantly, but it makes people think I'm really, really nervous, even when I'm not.
Does come up in conversation with people? Yes.
Yes, exactly. So one of my opponents yesterday was just like, "Are you okay?" and like was apologizing to me when they hit my pieces. You could tell they were just really uncomfortable, and I was like, "No, I'm not actually like upset or nervous. My hands just do this." But yeah, so apparently your hands shaking constantly is a way to make your opponent really uncomfortable.
Yeah, talk to your imaginary coach. Yeah, I think we should do that. Yeah, exactly. No, he hasn't seen it yet. Yeah, no, he hasn't seen the move. Let's do the move. Yeah, just like we train. He's going for it. It's our chance.
That why I wear a kilt?
Plural. It's our chance. Now we will do it.
Yep, talking to invisible people works.
I like that one. I'm going to try that once. At least once.
Unethical, but technically legal. Ask the judge for literally everything. Is he allowed to make that attack? Yes, it's just... there's.
Is it
why
like two moves for sidestep? He's got full two squares, like one after the other? Is that like how sidestep works?
And then the judge DQs you.
Another
I have seen that kind of thing happen where somebody will... I don't even know. I don't want to tell the story, but basically, I've seen this kind of thing happen, and it almost ended up in a fist fight. So don't call the judge if your opponent is doing perfectly legal things that you know is legal. It makes the judge's life easier.
Yeah, really.
And I don't want anybody pulling a knife because we don't have guns in Canada.
One good one that actually works when somebody's planning out how they're trying to be safe from your attacks, and they're absolutely good. Ask them for a line of fire tool. They will do everything. Like, you have a line of fire tool? I can't find mine. And they're just like sitting there like, oh god, did I place wrong?
Yeah. The first time he plays the first piece, starts counting squares. Okay, 6, 7, 8. Okay.
Yeah, count squares. Like
1, 2, 3,
even count longer than your reach. Just count.
Longer than the reach is awesome. Wait, can you reach there? Do you have perplex? Wait, no, there's a sidestep.
Just start counting random things that can't possibly happen, but they don't know that.
Set tokens in the middle of the map for no reason.
Yeah. Right after he plays the bear, say, okay, so your guy has 4 clicks. Great.
Oh man.
Okay, enough of all that nonsense. We're going to go to the ad read because this episode's about as long as the last one where we literally did the whole set for Sealed. So we have sponsors. We're brought to you in part by HCRealms.com, your one-stop source for everything Heroclix. Keep track of your collection in the unit section. Keep up with the conversation in the forums. Check out the shop and use the code MARRIED for 10% off your order and to support the channel with a little bit of a kickback. I have articles every Tuesday. Nobody else here has them. We're also sponsored by MajesticCCG.com. Check out their eBay store and their online store. And you can check out the premium site MajesticCCC.com/Apex-Insiders. They have lots of great articles from the great minds of Heroclix. PJ is a regular contributor, and so am I. Other minds include Pat himself, Easton, Adam Friedman, George, and so many others, as well as tournament winners when they do their tournament reports. We're also supported by The ROC, which has a new website at roc.ionsuite.com. If you want to host a ROC, they have a section for it. Check out their own forum. Keep up with any ROC news, track all the podcasts in the podcast section on the site. That's it for this week. So as we sign off, always remember that practice makes your team better, and have a great night.